Hey everybody, welcome back to the Siren Podcast. I have a really awesome show for you tonight. My guest is the Hated Patriot. Now, the Hated Patriot is Forrest Proctor. It is a page he runs on a couple different social media sites, and it's a place where you're free to talk about whatever you want to talk about. So, whatever you think is really going on in the world or your viewpoints, it's a place to talk and discuss these ideas. Right now in America and the world, things are getting to the point where you're not allowed to have an opinion on either side. You get to have the opinion that the news tells you or your social media platform tells you, and that's a bad thing for America. So we need to be more open. If you hear somebody with a different opinion than you, instead of getting mad, thinking they're an idiot or they're dumb, ask them about it. Sit down and talk to them. Find out what they have to say. And if you don't agree with it, then that's fine too. You're not going to agree with everybody on everything, but we really need to start talking with each other and find out what's really going on in America. Having open platforms. Being available to change your mind or keep the opinions that you hold and not change them when you don't actually believe them. At this point, I think we all just kind of need to wake up, shake the fog off, and get things back on track. How about that? So, my guest tonight, the Hated Patriot. Awesome time talking with him. Forrest Proctor. He's also a cinematographer, musician as well. But we're doing it under the Hated Patriot, which is just a way to keep his stuff separate from his personal life and all that stuff. So it's pretty cool. Make sure and go over to Facebook and check that out. See what he's up to. You know, if you don't agree with it, then that's fine. If you do agree with it, either way, like the page, share it. Have a conversation with him about it. Drop some comments. So originally what got me into wanting to do this podcast with him, I've had this post that keeps showing up on Facebook, on my Facebook feed, and it goes through this whole thing of different things that are going on right now. And I don't know if it's bullshit. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's fake. And I wanted to talk about it. We just wanted to talk through it, and sometimes it's good just to talk things out, see what's happening. So that's what we did. We didn't hit everything. We kind of got off topic, but really good show. I think you're really going to dig it. So let's just get right into the show. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hated Patriot. All right, man. Thanks for coming back on the show again.
Dude, I appreciate it. It's good to be back. It's like going to a studio but not really going there. It's like the new radio.
Yeah.
People used to sit around and they would have like almost a panel of people.
Yeah.
Like in person. Welcome to 2020.
2020. Everybody's on cell phones and Zoom calls. It's good though. I mean, if this ever goes away, I'm going to have a building where I can host, live with people in the building with me shows. So that should be fun.
Oh, absolutely. That'd be awesome, man.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So the reason why I asked you on the show is there's been this thing going around, and hopefully in the show talking that I do, I will have read this. So everybody should be up to date with it in general, reading it. And so as I started going through it, I started noticing some things that looked pretty interesting. There's some bold claims about what's actually going on in the world right now. And it's super interesting to me. And here is what one of the reasons is I can't find any information on this because Google, YouTube, everybody has completely, I guess, banned or censored all of this. If you go on Facebook and say, I think that, I don't know, Pizzagate is real, they block you for giving misinformation and call it, I don't know what they're technically calling it, but they take you off YouTube, they take you off everything. I mean,
100%. You're violating one of their policies they'll make going up.
Yeah, I mean, it's Facebook's business, it's Facebook's website. They have the right to do whatever they want. I don't own Facebook or Google, but that's kind of like the basket that we've all put ourselves in by relying on Google to be our main source of the internet, essentially. I mean, without Google, what would we be doing? Typing in websites and stuff. So I mean, they choose, and I kind of understand where they're coming from, but I'm a proponent of having open dialogue, and if you got something to say, we should at least knock the idea around instead of just saying that doesn't agree with my narrative or what I want to happen.
Yeah, or getting insanely mad. You know what I mean? Like you were saying, like should just be open conversation, man.
Yeah, and see the further 2020 moves on, it's always kind of been there, but now as we move further into 2020, it's getting to the point where if you don't agree with the main narrative, you are a racist, you are a piece of shit, and you hate America, you hate poor people, you want everybody in the world to die, and you're like
a Nazi, fascist.
Nazi and fascist. That's like the two words that I don't think people really understand what they mean. I get what they're trying to say. But a Nazi is a very specific thing, and a fascist, if you tell me I can't talk about certain things, that's fascism, right? Like controlling what someone says.
Man.
So if you tell me I can't, even if it's some guy over here saying some stupid asshole stuff, if you go up to him and say, you can't say that because it offends me or whatever, that's fascism. You're a fascist, so stop saying, I don't know. To me, it just seems like a big circle.
I know what you're saying. Yeah. No, 100%.
But yeah, that's what it's turned into nowadays. And if you question it, you're an asshole. And I don't like that. I at least want to talk about it.
No, I hate it.
Yeah. So,
well, on your first point, let me know when I can interject, because it's on your first point. I can tell you why Facebook and Google cannot do that, or they're not supposed to do it, and it's illegal.
Okay.
So you just let me know. So, and I totally agree with you. If you own, let's say you owned, where do you live, Hattiesburg?
Yeah.
Okay, you own the Hattiesburg Patriot. All right, let's pretend you do. People can't just write articles and put them on the front page of your newspaper, because you are a publisher. That means you curate the content that goes out. And if you put out false content, you have to do a retraction legally.
Yeah.
So the point is, you're not protected because you're choosing, hey, I want to curate this content. Therefore, I am taking the chance and making sure, and I'm taking the chance that there will be liability against me if I put out a false narrative of anything. So there's a publisher, correct? Then you have a public forum, which is the modern freedom, or modern, town square, where people would just talk about ideas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So social media is classified under law as a public forum, but they're acting as a publisher. So they're breaking the law. They're suppressing your First Amendment right, freedom of speech. I mean, it's evolved into, we talk on the internet now, but it's still your speech.
Yeah.
So, although I totally agree with you, but Google should change themselves to a publisher if they want to curate the content, and Facebook should be changed to a publisher and have to follow the guidelines and the rules that publishers have to follow. And that's how we maybe not save, but that's how we preserve our First Amendment. So anyway, I just want to clear that up
Well,
because
yeah,
that's to me that's something people don't realize.
yeah, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize there was like a legal thing behind Facebook. I figured it was just like
Well, that's why papers can get in huge trouble, and they have to print retractions because they're controlling it, so they cannot. It's there to protect us from propaganda. That's it.
So what's the deal with like news companies? They got the same.
They have the same thing, but think about it. If the politicians are working with the news companies, aren't they going to be corrupt and do everything they can to make sure these people aren't getting in trouble for the laws they're breaking by publishing false narratives and false stories? And then the ones that are publishing real content that is truthful, what are they being? Suppressed. I mean, I hope this video doesn't get in trouble, but we can dive down some rabbit holes, man.
Well,
and it's actually simple, is what I like. Simple to understand.
Yeah.
Freedom.
Well, I mean, that's what I thought. And, to me, even if there are legal things, I guess I'll have to look into that. But
absolutely.
I personally
everybody do that, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. I personally think if say like even this show right now, like if you were to start, yelling obscenities or talking about my mother or something, like I could turn you off. But I guess because I'm not a public, I don't know if this is classified as a public forum. But
I believe it is.
Yeah. See, like, so me like muting you or something, does that count at that point? Like where's the line?
Here's the thing. So here's the thing. With a public forum, they're basically not liable for the content that gets published on their site because they're creating a let's just call it an area, like a park. They're creating a park for people to come talk.
A digital
park. If people come and organize in a digital park. If people come to that park and organize in a criminal fashion and break laws, Facebook is not liable for it because all they did was build the park.
Yeah.
They maintain the park. But they're not responsible for any crime that happens in the park. Now, like true crimes, sure, can be kicked out of their park, banned, whatever. But things that aren't crime, except for not going with the narrative of their company, which I think companies should take politics out of, their companies entirely.
Yeah.
Let the people do the politicizing and protesting.
Honestly, right now the people are doing it, and if a company if a company doesn't go up and put all this stuff about how they support this or don't support that or whatever they do, if they don't answer in the popular opinion, or even if they say nothing now, they get shit. They're like, well, you didn't say anything, so obviously you're against it or for it, whatever it is, and it goes on the news, it goes on Facebook, and then they lose business. So they've got, that's popular opinion right there, I guess. They got to.
Sure, but I think, and I agree with you on that, but what I think is interesting to think about is I think the popular opinion is not actually what they tell us it is. I think most people are like me and you. We're dads, first of all, so we're getting old.
Yeah.
We just care about our families. We just care about our livelihoods and, just the country me and you grew up in. We just care about that.
Mm-hmm.
I actually care about all the people who have, lashed out at me. Like, this is about all of us. So, I think the majority of people think like that, but the media wants you to think that the 10% is the majority. They're not. I mean, they're the 10% that's getting the camera pointed at them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're not the majority.
Well, yeah, I guess at the end of the day, if they were to come up to me and be like, hey, what do you think about all this, about this thing? And I'm like, it's okay. It's not that big of a deal. No one would be tuning in to the news stations or clicking on the ads to see me say, it'll pass. It's not that big of a deal. But if somebody's like, these motherfuckers out there doing this, we should, get Trump out of office and whatever, then everybody's going to start watching and clicking. I've noticed clickbait titles for everything. It was one of them, and you get shit if you don't completely just hate Trump on everything he does. Trump sneezes. If you don't say this asshole sneezed, he should have went outside or something. If you don't say that, but there was something with literally it said when he talked about putting disinfectants in his body, he said the article said Trump tells America to shoot to inject Clorox into his veins or something. It was that that's not what he said at all. I mean, he said maybe we can get the disinfectants or something, but he didn't say shoot Clorox intravenously like heroin into your veins. But they said that.
Sure.
And all you got to do. This is all you got to do to make a news article say what you want it to, but not be slander. You ready for this? So they wanted to say Trump is gay, right? That's slander.
All right, what are you adding? What are you taking away?
Now it's not slander.
Look at him, bro. That's crazy.
Isn't it though? So now they can say, Trump wants to murder everybody? And then you go, well, it was a question, not a statement.
Yeah. So the question is, could you prove that a company was doing that, and could there be legislation in the future to prevent that? And what would you call it, thirdly? Would you call it slander manipulation?
I would
Something like that. I mean, but you'd have to be able to prove it. You cannot, you got to be able to, without a shadow of a doubt, prove they're doing that. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking out loud, really.
I don't know what you do. I mean, we all know what's going on, but, you can't legislate too much, then it gets to the point where you can't walk outside without there being something that you can or can't do or have to do or do this. Did you mean to? I just think, honestly, people need to just, there's people I know on both sides of the spectrum, and they want one thing to be true, and that's what is going to happen, no matter what. There's there's these two people in my life that I know personally. One of them is a diehard Trump fan. One's a diehard Trump hater. And literally every time a news article comes up, this one is hardcore defending it. This one's hardcore against it. And if people were being truly honest with themselves, that at least their views would at least get challenged once or twice. Somebody that is completely against Trump, every once in a while would have to say, that's not that bad that he did that. And somebody that really likes him would have to go, that's a pretty bad move that he did there.
Well, to me, the pendulum never swings and then stops. Does that make sense? It's always kind of swinging back and forth between, you can't just be all the way this way. Because to be honest with you, man, I'm pretty pissed at Donald Trump. I've been upset with him for the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 months. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because he has so much leadership and skills. His rally was cool. It was awesome. I watched it. But I don't really care about your rally.
Yeah.
I don't care about your rally. I don't need a rally to believe in you and to vote for you. I need you to stand up for us and the people. That's what's going to get people to vote for you.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about your rally, dude. I mean, I would care about your rally if you were standing up for the people. I might even win. But he needs to stand up, man. He's just chilling, and I don't think he's doing it purposefully. I think he's 74, 76 years old, and he has not necessarily a bad group of people, but a complacent group of people around him, between his campaign managers and all that, and they think they have this thing in the bag. Not to mention the country's burning down. I don't even care about the election at this point. Yeah. I'm like, dude, just help us out here.
Can we do
help us
something?
Out with the censorship. Help us out with the violence. And look, I want to touch on your second point because we went past it, but I want to clear that up too. When you said the people are protesting, the people are speaking up, I agree with that 100%. But here's the problem. They've been, I hate to use the word brainwashed because it just triggers people so hard, dude.
Yeah, it makes
they get
you
so
sound
mad. But they have been deceived. They've been deceived, and therefore their protests are for the team of evil. I mean, it comes down to two simple things, man: good versus evil. Yeah. I try to break it down. I try to zoom out as far as I can, as often as I can, because I can get caught up on minor details like Hillary Clinton and Obama and this and that and that. And it's like, even the Bible says when we're fighting this war, it's going to be a spiritual battle. You're not really like Obama. You're not really fighting him. I mean, he's in the equation, but this is just me. It's Satan versus God. That's how I feel about the whole thing, and it actually comforts me because I have this foundation at the very bottom that is my faith. So it's like, yeah, these details get you overwhelmed and all that, but at the end of the day, it's just this. That's just my opinion.
I had a guy on. His name is Bubba Dossett. He's the owner of the skate shop here in Hattiesburg, Brazen Skateboards.
What's his name again?
Bubba.
Oh, Brazen. Yeah, I remember them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had him.
I saw that podcast. I didn't watch it, but.
But yeah, like towards the end, he's real into all of this. I didn't realize that. I was just, I thought we'd have a conversation.
And don't you hate it? Well, don't you hate this conversation right now? I hate it.
Yeah.
I'd rather be talking about guitars with you, bro. Like, seriously. I only talk about this when I am being forced to.
Yeah.
Like, if there wasn't so much trying to be taken away from me and my children, then we wouldn't be talking about this, bro.
Well, yeah, what I was saying is we started talking about that, and his whole thing is, it's good versus evil. And the thing he said that he was talking to a guy, and, you can get down into the rabbit hole with, like, I don't know, Illuminati, whatever that stuff is. And he said he had somebody he knew that was in that, and he asked him, like before he died, he said, why is all this stuff just starting to happen now? And he said, because the time's up and both sides have to make their move or something like that. It was chilling. I was like, well, that makes sense.
Jeez, man.
He said they're making their damn moves right now. And with the virus, which is, it's either, escaped from a lab, it came from a bat, whatever that is, the main point is it's being handled in certain ways, and it's causing a lot of unrest in the community. And then the George Floyd caused a shit ton of unrest, compounded on top of being in lockdown. And I think what the whole purpose, the reason why I asked you is that stuff is leading up to all this stuff that's on this paper, which turns into one big narrative. And I think, which is, Bubba was talking about this, and I think this is what they call Q. Is this Q? Or is Q?
QAnon.
QAnon. And that is
QAnon.
That is 100% banned. And you know what? It's not like they ban it. They feed you. So he told me to look at
the opposite narrative.
Yeah, so I looked it up, and it said
the narrative they want you to have.
Yeah, and go to Google, type in QAnon, and it says radical conspiracy theory. Here's why it's not true. Every article, go to YouTube, type it in. Every one is a video of some guy going, "Look at these stupid assholes," and they show a picture of a redneck in a NASCAR shirt going, "Fuck Trump, I love Trump."
Yeah, and look, if any audience member here is like thinking, well, that can't be true. That must mean it's not true. Do a test. Type in your favorite music artist, and then just search some stuff. You're gonna find middle of the road stuff, negative stuff about them, positive stuff about them. So it's not the algorithm. You know what I mean? You can do a little experiment with just somebody they don't really care about controlling, or a narrative they don't care about controlling. Type that in, and you're gonna get different mixtures of responses. Whereas if you type in Q, or if you type in InfoWars, or if you type in anything like that, it's just going to come up, oh, this is bad, this is not true, don't even take the time to look at this, it's so ridiculous. When it's just the truth.
Yeah.
It's a Cold War, it's an info war. I mean, I hate to quote InfoWars like I'm some kind of huge fanatic of Alex Jones, but I do like their outlet. I don't necessarily listen to him. There's a couple other guys on there I like way better, but they coined that phrase for a reason. They coined that name for a reason. Because it is truly that.
It really is. War on information. That, I never really thought about it like that.
Hey, and listen, I think people who are fed up with the police have a right to speak. I think people who do want to marry the same sex as them, they have a right to speak. I think everybody's got a right to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about protest, but I think what we've seen in the last couple, maybe it's a month now, I don't know how long this George Floyd thing's been going on, and I think it's doing disservice for people out there who are actually wanting to just protest verbally and, you know, peacefully. But then there's these other people that are ruining it for them, and it makes it look like it's the whole group. But then the people who are doing good at first, they need to pull back. You don't want to be standing, it's guilty by association.
Yeah.
If you're there to actually protest, you need to make sure it's going to be safe. If it gets violent, you either stop it or get out of there. So it's making those people look bad, and they're feeding the other side of it because in numbers and support. So, dude, it's harsh out there, and I totally think that, you know, the death of George Floyd was murder. I mean, I watched it. So, but the bottom line is, you got to hold people accountable, not whole like career types, like all cops. Like if a nurse gave you the wrong medicine, it killed you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you think every single nurse needs to be fired or lynched or something like that? Like, that's ridiculous. Yeah. And here's an analogy that I think really will sit with people, and I thought about it the other day. So we all know that there are school teachers, especially in the high school arena, that like do bad things, like, you know, sleep with kids and stuff like that, and they get arrested. We judge them by them. We judge that teacher by that teacher, and they'll go to prison. We don't protest every single teacher in the whole school system by a 1% or less than 1% chance, and that happening. You know, we prosecute that person. And if they're not fired, they'll protest that person.
Taken to jail. It's not about what this is what it should be about, or what I think it should be about. And I hope this doesn't bite me in the ass. But there is problems with the police force, and I've run in with
100%.
I've been in like pulled over, gone through roadblocks with cops. And on 3 occasions, I've been harassed, talked down to. I had a guy, I had, earrings, and he looks at me and he goes, "What's wrong with your ears, boy?" And I was like, "I have earrings." And he just laughed in my face, and I've seen, you can Google anything, traffic stops, whatever on YouTube, and there's cops that they'll ask for ID, and there's a citizen that knows, I don't have to, I'm just being facetious just to flex my rights. I really don't have to. And they get so mad that you don't respect them as cops that they will literally beat you and drag you out of the car like you're a criminal just because they're not getting to look at your license, knowing that you're not doing anything, which some people might disagree with that. But I do think that cops,
I'm 100% on board with that.
They do need more training. But I don't, according to the statistics that I've seen, more white people were killed by cops in 2019. And I don't know why we're acting like cops are going out of their ways to kill black people. I don't think that's, according to FBI, right? That's not happening.
And this is the one time I'll actually dispute that one statistic. And the only reason is, here's the thing: I don't think cops are targeting a race. Or I should say a breed, because there's only one race. It's the race of humanity, the human race. And then we have different breeds of people. So I don't think they're going after a certain group of people. But here's why that statistic kind of bugs me, is because, yes, there were more white people killed, but the percentage is about the same because there are more white people in our country.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, like percentage-wise, they're actually about the same, which makes it equal, in my opinion. Yeah. I think you can probably quote the numbers, but I'm just going to say, I think I heard like in the 40s, white people were killed by cops,
25.
Unarmed. And then
24.
It was 25. Okay. I knew it wasn't over 50. So 24. And then what about black Americans?
No, hang on. It was.
I think it might be like.
It was
10?
9. It was
10?
It was unarmed people. It was 9. It was 9 black people and 17 white people or something along those lines. And They were arrested. The people that
Yeah.
killed them. I mean, they got arrested or whatever. I don't know.
Oh, it's just justice. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what needed to happen.
like a cop needs to be held accountable. And a lot of times cops just
100%.
get out of it. They just get out of it because it's kind of like, who's going to convict me? The guy I work with every day. Like, I see the judge every day. Like, why is he seeing
Yeah.
that?
So if we look at it more of a base level, based on what you're saying, which I agree with, we look at it at a base level. It sounds like we just need better people. Like listen, if these people are kind of corrupt-minded, if that's what we think, why are we trying to train them? Why don't we just make a system where we're hiring better people that you don't have to babysit and train and you get what I'm trying to say?
Mental evaluation
those
of
who wanna-
people before they become gun holders.
Sure, before they come. And I'm not saying fire all the cops. I'm just saying maybe do a reevaluation.
Yes.
And some of these people that throw up some red flags and whatnot, and it needs to be very scrutinized. Even the auditing of the person needs to be audited. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because then people can just start getting rid of people. I mean, that's what we're seeing now with the social media. So
I mean,
I think we just need better people and better viewpoints. And I don't know.
I mean, if you have a cop ask you, like, if you're trying to say, I don't think this is right, you shouldn't be able to do this, and he says, "What are you, a lawyer or something?" Shouldn't all, I think cops should be held accountable for upkeeping the law. They should know the law in and out. So if they're breaking the law, then they should be held accountable for. Oops, I pulled him over because if you can't profile somebody if you're following the rules, because you can't pull somebody over for what they look like. You have to pull them over for a legitimate reason. I mean, I had a friend got pulled over, said he had his tag light out, and he was like, "Well, it's not because I just replaced it." And the cop said, "Don't get out of the car," whatever. Searched him, did all that stuff, and when he left, he got out and his tail light was on. Like stuff like that. I don't know. That shouldn't be happening.
Well, there are areas that are trying to pass legislation, I believe, to require body cams on police. Therefore, if you do have an interaction with a cop and you want to file a complaint, they can go back to that timestamp and see what actually happened. And then the cop has no
100
kind of way of lying about it, I guess.
Yeah, that's what
And
needs to happen.
I'm not against that. I'm not against that. It's just it seems like a really hard infrastructure to build.
But
and I come from like a background of doing stuff like that. So,
but I mean, even
it's daunting.
The liberty. I mean, at that point, like, what is it worth? One of your kids gets pulled over one day, and the cop's just having a bad day, and your kid's having a bad day, and he says, "You know what? I'm not giving you my fucking." Not saying your kid would do this, but who knows? What if the cop's just being an asshole that day and beats the shit out of your kid because he was being disrespectful to him? There's body cams should be. I mean, there should be accountability for all that. Not
think about this. So go ahead. I'm sorry. All I was going to say is think about this. We take risk whenever we travel on the roadways. We take risk whenever we create an organization that is supposed to protect and serve our communities. There's a risk of it going wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But what do we do to our roads and our cars? We constantly modify the system. We constantly modify the safety. We constantly stay on top of it. So I think that the same thing could apply for, the police force. You're going to have to constantly have just programs to improve, the morale of police officers, the respect towards citizens, and the training, obviously. And that's what's funny to me is like when you see most cops, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful towards cops, but I just see a lot of cops, and I'm like, man, if I was one to do something criminal right now, I don't think that guy could keep up with me for 15 seconds. I
know what you're talking about.
And I'm sure a lot of them are really good marksmen, and they do firearms training, and but I don't know. It's just like people who go to the gym, they're kind of always like really bright and charismatic and polite. I would say the majority.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to just start like bashing people's health because my health is not good. But do you get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. And an unhealthy person.
And it sounds so disrespectful. If you're a police officer out there, I am not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just saying that, and I'm the same way. It's like when I try to take care of, and I haven't been taking care of my body lately, but when I do take care of my body, I feel better. I'm nicer to other people. And so it's just like, I don't know. We all just need to work on ourselves probably and be nice.
Yes. I think we can all agree.
That's it.
Work on yourself and the world will fix itself. We can end this right now.
Hey, that might be our slogan there.
That's it. I'm getting a shirt made that says that. So, cops.
Hey, but if we're gonna, are we moving off of cops, or are you still on cops?
I mean, we can move off or stay on if you got something else you want to talk about.
Well, I was just gonna let you roll with what you wanted. I just want to say one last thing.
No, go ahead.
You know, I think the majority of cops are really good people, and that's why they became cops. I really think it's the 90% majority. I think there's 8% that are what you were talking about, and I think there's 2% that commit heinous crimes, like we saw with George Floyd. So, all cops out there who are doing your job, protecting your citizens and your families, I salute you. You're awesome. And I just want to make sure that I made that clear,
Yes.
to
and
law enforcement.
Isn't it a funny world we live in where you have to clarify that you're not an asshole if you disagree with anything? Like, you're like, just before I say this, I think that this was a murder. So you can say that there needs to be.
You have to say it because there's just so many false narratives like hitting you in the face.
Yeah.
And then people might hit you in the face. You gotta watch out.
Yeah, it's your fault for being a bigot.
Jeez Louise.
God. So, yes. So I think we both can agree there needs to be some sort of, I guess, second look at least. Some sort of look into the police force. For some of them, not all of them.
I don't know if you know, Donald Trump did a police reform act or something, signed it in a week, but apparently it was not very much changed. But it's just to be said, they did do something. I'm not really sure what it was.
Well, if it was something good, they wouldn't have talked about it. So maybe it was something good.
This is probably true.
Maybe it was something good.
Hopefully.
Okay.
I might actually go look that up here in just a little bit.
Yeah, look it up. So there's this whole list of things going on, and so we went around the world, I guess, to get here. That's everything that's happening, and this is how everybody thinks it's a conspiracy. Now, before I go through all this, I'm not saying that I believe all this. I'm not saying I don't believe it. What I'm saying is I want to talk about it and let everyone make up their own mind. Sounds fair, right?
Sounds super fair. Still a conspiracy? Question mark. Eyeball?
Yes, eyeball. You gotta have the eye of Horus. I've been watching.
Well, that's what this thing says you sent me. That's like the first. That's the first line of this thing you sent me.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm seeing that.
Is that where? Are you looking at the same thing I am?
Yes, it's the thing that I sent you.
Okay.
It was just a Facebook post somebody posted. So it starts off.
Yeah.
The entire world is in lockdown. Let that sink in. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but maybe that'll come up later on. 5G is rolled out. Now, I've looked into the 5G, and to me, the 5G thing doesn't seem like a conspiracy. You might know more than me, but everything I've looked up looks more like it's people are just scared of new things. But I can't look up too much on it because it won't show me any.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. And when you say it doesn't sound like a conspiracy, I thought you were saying it sounds like actual fact. Does that make sense?
Oh no, like it doesn't. It seems to me.
You're saying it seems like people are just scared of it.
Yes, and I think they're just putting up towers so we can have better connectivity. Now there might be some sort of seedy company being like, now we can real time track people because of the zero ping.
Well, I don't go that far down the 5G rabbit hole. I just think that they might not even know the damage it does, but there are, and I don't know if it's in Europe. I want to say it was Poland. Poland is banning 5G completely, just because of the research behind it and these megahertz that apparently affect your cells, and this, that, and the other. I don't think they're beaming it at people, though. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
hey, we're gonna beam it for us today. I don't think we're that far into the 5G technology. I think it's just like there was some other stuff. I can't remember what it was. It might have been when the microwave first came out.
Yeah.
It almost. No, it wasn't the microwave. Oh, it was. I know what it was. It was radio. When radio first came out and they started just pushing all of this radiation into the air, a lot of people got sick. And so, I think that might be part of it. I'm not going to say completely that 5G is like here to murder us all.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that seem like, and I don't know. I didn't go to Cambridge with these people. They seem like they got credentials, and they're saying that it's dangerous, and they're banning it in countries. I'd at least look into it and question it. And I haven't done I'd say I've done 40% diligence on looking that up. Because there's just so much going on in my front yard, in my country to really get into the 5G thing. I mean, you gotta fix some other stuff.
I really hope 5G is just better internet because it's going to be badass.
Well, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great for gaming.
Yeah.
I hope that too.
It'll be real-time internet. Like us talking, it'll be straight up real time. You can be in China and we're talking in real time.
Well, dude, where I'm working right now, we've got it at our office, and it's 1.5 gigs a second down upload speed.
Wow. Shit.
Or something like that. The IT guy came in today and looked at me and said, "This is the best internet known to man." And he showed me the test. Yeah. He was like, "Look at this." He was nerding out about the upload speed.
Yeah, the main thing is the ping on that. It'll allow people to do surgery across the country with robots because it'll be real time. Self-driving cars like the Teslas right now, there's a lag between when you send a command and when it's received by the car. Now you can have the processor be... I'm sure there's got to be more infrastructure than a couple of satellites, but processor can be in Nevada controlling your car to faster than human reaction speed. Literally, if a car pulls out in front of you, the computer can react before you can with 5G. So I hope it's not a big conspiracy.
Jeez, there's the other end of the spectrum. Yeah.
Yeah, to give us all COVID-19 or something else, make us turn into zombies.
Well. I don't think so, because there's a lot of 5G out already in America, and the COVID numbers are botched anyway.
Yeah.
So if you took the numbers of 5G towers and you took the number of COVID cases, 5G's not doing that.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything compelling off of it, but also have not.
Now, I can't say long term. Long term, it could be doing something, but it's not getting you sick overnight.
Well, shit, people smoked cigarettes for 50 years before we realized it was killing you. They were like, "You feeling sick? Have a pack of cigarettes and some whiskey." And then they're like,
"Look, in 50 years, it's gonna be you feeling sick? Get a bubble to go around your house, protect you from that 5G filter. No, it'll filter in the 5G to be just as fast, but it'll somehow clean it."
Yeah, it's like, man, you don't have a 5G filter in your house? God, that's why
you're gonna die.
That's why you got cancer. So yes, and then next it talks about Prince Harry and Meghan leave the royal family, and this is where. So I have a problem with the left side jumping to conclusions with any kind of Republican thing, but there's also on this side people will jump to things, and I feel like whenever they start saying, if my family had my mother killed and were Satan-worshipping child traffickers, the royal family in Britain is Satan-worshipping and child trafficking? Is that what they're saying here?
I don't know, man. Yeah, and listen, that's another whole rabbit hole. And what I realized about them is whether that stuff's not true or not, I'm not really sure. It would point towards the direction of at least Prince Andrew. It's true,
dude,
just because of the affiliation with Jeffrey Epstein. But here's what I think. It's interesting, and I learned this from somebody very close to me. Is Americans adore them? Yeah, especially Americans who adore consumption of American goods. They think they watch the royal family's lives like it's a show.
Yeah,
they have their weddings on TV, and They're like, oh, look what she's wearing this week, and it's like they're not even in our country, and they're like a
who
royal
cares?
dynasty that doesn't need to exist. so I think that's most of the pushback, and they've got this image painted of them as like, oh, they're so noble, and that's where the knights come from, and King Arthur, and it just, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I just think people really like them, and it's hard to. It would be hard if this just came out true with video evidence. It would still be hard to accept for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that Prince Andrew's little story was, to me, seemed like a gigantic piece of crap. He was just like, you can tell that wasn't me because I couldn't sweat back then. Now I can, but back then I couldn't sweat. Did you see that?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about. That sounds ridiculous.
Dude, he said they were asking him about. They were like, "Hey, you were with this girl, the girl that said you had sex with her, this 14 or 15-year-old girl or something."
Yeah.
And then he was like, "No, that wasn't me. I was on vacation with my family." And they were like, "Well, we have a picture of you on that night." Like, they were like, "Here's the actual picture of you with this girl at the place." Yeah. And he said, "No, that guy's sweating." And back then, I have a condition.
I couldn't sweat.
He said that I can't sweat. And he goes, I can now, but back then I couldn't. And you could just tell he was like just caught off guard when they showed him the picture. He was doing something. He was doing something. The whole it always comes back to some sort of pedophilia when it comes to these elite people. And
yeah.
I think there's something to that in what's the best way to control somebody? Basketball players 100%. Get drunk. Matthew Broderick, didn't he get drunk, killed somebody? He's fine. The Kardashian guy that turned into a woman, Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner, whatever. Jenner. She killed somebody. He killed somebody while drunk. They're fine. But Louis C.K. masturbates in a room with a woman, his career's over, right? Now, how would you control the president of the United States? And I've heard this theory before, is you get them intoxicated and get them to have sex with underage children, take pictures and videos and say, now you're mine, bitch. Sign this into law. Do this. Give me this amount of money for my campaign. You get what I'm saying? That's just my personal
blackmail.
Blackmail. And that's really the only way to ruin someone's career. You can be an alcoholic, a drug addict, kill somebody, beat your wife. Chris Brown beat the shit out of Rihanna, and he's still making music. Louis C.K. masturbates with 2 other grown women after asking them, and he loses 2 movies and a TV show. Like, if you do anything sex-related...
We've come to that crossroads. I think we've come to that crossroads. You kind of... It's time to start picking sides. I'll go back to what your friend, associate said. The time has run out.
Yeah.
Now it's like you get to get on good or evil side, and I'm not going to try to classify it into like my faith and my religion, because I mean this goes throughout all religions to me, because they all, for the most part, they have their base roots that are good versus evil. So it's almost like you got to start picking your sides, and the Bible says that the root of all evil is money.
Mm-hmm.
So people who have money, they're going to jump. The love of money, of course. Yep.
That's it.
So it's just interesting. It's interesting how simple it is, and it gives me comfort, man, because I can just back up and go, it's all good.
Yeah.
It's these two things, and I've chosen my side.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to money, if I'm sure you've probably researched this, but the whole Rothschild Central Bank is just too damn convenient. Which I think this even shows up in this. It's too damn convenient. Like, there's no bank in Syria, and then we're at war with Syria. Then there's no bank in Iraq and Iran, and then, we're at war over there, even though they didn't bomb us or whatever. And then whenever we stop being at war with these people, they get a centralized bank. Like Cuba was the last one. They got one now. And we can go over there and travel now. It's like, it's too convenient.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree.
So talking about the money or whatever. So next up was Pizzagate. Pizzagate was, whenever I tried to research it, I couldn't get into it. But everybody says Hillary Clinton and a bunch of people child sex or something at a pizza place or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So Pizzagate. Basically, there was this guy in New York City who owned a pizza parlor. I forget the guy's name, but he had a lot of high-profile friends, politicians. Washington D.C. I don't know if I said New York City. It was Washington D.C. He owned a pizza parlor, and there was a lot of like controversial paintings in there of what appeared to be adults having sex with children, and then people eating people, and it was just real weird. So I think, if we're looking at this whole thing as a blanket, that's getting really into the fibers of the fabric. I'm not even so much interested in that because I'm still way back here going good versus evil.
Yeah.
But I do know something about it, so it's like, basically celebrities and DC people were meeting down there. They had a speakeasy in the bottom.
Yeah.
Or if it wasn't a speakeasy, it was something like a speakeasy, a private club. And, the rumor is, or the conspiracy is rather, that they would, do horrible things to children down there. And I'm not even going to mention them. You can use your imagination, or please don't.
Yeah, don't.
But anyway, they were basically torturing children. We'll classify it as that. And there's that guy. God, what is his name? The government got a hold of his laptop. I don't know if you've gone this far, but they got a hold of his laptop, and in the FBI or the NYPD, I think, FBI branch, they looked at the contents of the laptop. 12 guys, looking at this, 12 guys looked into the contents of that laptop. Almost 4 or 5 of them killed themselves, and 2 of them testified on audio of things they saw. And, bro, I'm not even going to say the things they saw, because it's literally giving me chills, and it makes me want to vomit. Like, just their voice saying it. So, anybody out there, I just suggest don't go that far into the fabric of this cloth. Like, you really just need to worry about the big picture. I mean, somebody definitely needs to worry about that, because they need to be investigating and making arrests and all this other jazz, if it's true.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I got children, and bro, it just drives me crazy, and it gives me nightmares, and I just can't handle it.
Well, the reason kind of
that's Pizzagate for you.
The reason kind of why I think it's good for people to understand what this is talking about, because say you go onto the InfoWars website they got, where it's like YouTube. It's called like Band TV or something. It's like YouTube, but it's InfoWars only.
Yeah, it's band.video. It'll be on the bottom of the screen. Just kidding.
Yeah, yeah. And if you go to that website and you watch Alex Jones, he goes, "This is how he does it," and I'm sure he knows his like what he's talking about. But he starts talking, especially he went on Joe Rogan a while back, and just he looked like an ass because he didn't explain anything. He's like, he starts yelling and gets out of breath, and he says, "Hey, everybody, they're going over there and they're killing kids and drinking their bloods and making the frogs turn gay and stuff." And
yeah,
everybody goes, "This guy's a fucking lunatic," because I don't know what you mean. But I mean the frog stuff, whatever it was a real study. They made a frogs gay at Harvard. I don't know, but people make fun of him for that. But if you just say it without explaining it, then he sounds like a nut job, and everything he says then sounds like some kind of crazy man's ramblings.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly, but I think my perspective is a little different. I don't see Alex as the end-all be-all, or InfoWars, or anybody for that matter. Louder Crowder or Ben Shapiro.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're there to recite articles. They could sit there and just read an article, and that would explain it. They're just steering you in a direction.
Yeah. You
got to get out, and you got to seek the truth. And he's just kind of starting dialogue for me. I don't sit there and just take every word he says, and I don't get upset when I'm like, well, he didn't really explain that any further. Because he's got 12 researchers giving him stories all day from 6 a.m. in the morning until he starts, and he goes on air at 3 and has to regurgitate it all in 3 hours.
Yeah.
and with the volume of stuff that's going on. But I agree with you, Alex. Gets on my nerves because of the yelling and the shouting and the really ridiculous stuff. Nothing is so like off the wall that I'm gonna be like, he's a bad person. No, he's just like got ADHD and he's passionate. I like Owen Schroyer on Band Video. Owen Schroyer is our age. He's very passionate, but still level-headed.
Mm-hmm.
Like this seems to be a little more realistic. And sometimes Alex just like, is this dude about to run through the wall?
Yeah.
What is going to happen?
What is happening? Owen Schroyer. So I've watched, and something I've been trying to find, which I cannot find. I guess it doesn't exist. So there's Owen Schroyer and Caitlin Bennett and Millie Weaver. There's a few of those people, and they go to rallies or they go to colleges and they ask questions, and sometimes they're assholes about it, and sometimes they're just trying to get something like a conversation started.
Yeah,
but
PragerU's really good about the conversations.
Yeah, PragerU does it, and Steven Crowder. They go out and they say, this is what they're saying. Here's the facts. Let's talk about it, kind of thing. Caitlin Bennett kind of is an ass. She's an asshole. But there's not one on the other side. So if you try to say like a liberal side going and talking, because I want to talk to someone on that side.
You want to hear the other side of the story.
Yeah, and hear that side. But the only thing I ever hear is like people saying. It's like it's Jimmy Kimmel or something, like Jimmy Kimmel interviews Trump people, and it's a 2-minute segment, and they just cut down to find the one lady that didn't know that she lived in the United States or something. They just make them look stupid. It's not like, give me a good argument as to why Bernie Sanders giving out free health care is a good idea, besides.
There's no dialogue of that.
I know, that's what I want. I want a legit, sane person to just give me, and not say, well, if you don't think everybody should have health care, then you don't care about people and you think children should die. That's not the answer. I want to say, like, here's some like reasons why I think it's a legitimate thing to have health care for all, which would be fine. I'm willing to listen to that. It's hard to find. I can't find.
Yeah.
Good on that.
No, 100%. No, I totally agree with you. And here's what I think it boils down to. And people if you want to use left and right, people on the left area of thinking, I personally don't think what they're speaking for and all that. I don't think they have much principle behind it. It's more of just an allegiance. And I think there's people on Donald Trump's side too that don't have the principle that they stand on. They just have the allegiance.
Yeah.
Of what their favorite politician or celebrity is saying. Like I said, dude, I'm almost anti-Trump. Like I've got a couple weeks left in me before he's just not the guy.
Yeah.
He's just not the guy. He had the best 3.5 years, but I don't really care if you don't finish the race. I mean, I do care about this 3.5 years, but I'm not going to vote for you when you do what you're doing for the last 8 months, which is basically let the American people get terrorized by different forms of tyranny, whether it's unlawful protest or banned content or rights being taken away or children being abused by all this other conspiracy stuff we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to start putting the hammer down, bro. Like, even if you don't get elected, wouldn't you want to go out with the biggest bang?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't you want to just go out, people knowing, like, that dude put it all on the line at the end? And I would want to, if I was the leader of the free world, and I say this, maybe if I was up there, I wouldn't.
Maybe
but
they
I
take
like
you.
I would just put my.
They tell you about the aliens and the real shit that's going on, and you're like, oh damn, I don't care. Give me the. Let me tweet something.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that I cannot stand at this point. Like the tweet and stuff was cool when he was backing up the words.
Yeah.
But now it's just a couple of tweets in a rally, and he's just, dude, I just about can't talk about it right now.
Yeah,
I really like Donald Trump. That's the worst part.
I did.
I don't. And I want to.
I don't.
I'm rooting for him.
I don't like Donald Trump, but I don't think he is what everybody. I don't think he's as bad as everybody says. Let me not say everybody. The people of a certain on the certain side or whatever say he is. I think they just don't like him and go out of their way to not like him. Like kind of like if there's a guy you don't like at work and he comes in wearing a new pair of shoes and you're like, look how ugly those shoes are. And they're not ugly shoes. You just don't like him, so you're trying to find something wrong about him to talk about. That's what I think's going on.
Well, I know plenty of people. Who admit, and they'll say, "I can't stand Donald Trump, his personality, his ego. It just gets on my nerves." But as a president, if you never heard him spoke and you just read bullet points of things he did, I like that. They just don't like his personality, and that's totally cool. You know, I can not like somebody's personality and say, "But hey, he kicks ass at his job," or did.
Yeah.
I hope dude, I'm rooting for him to make the game-winning shot. That's how I see it. Like, we're in the final buzzer. It's the Lakers. It's the, NBA Finals Game 7. I don't want him to miss, but I'm not very confident in the shot right now.
Yeah.
He's missed the last, 6 three-pointers, and it's in the last second. And I'm like, oh, God.
We're at the buzzer.
He's going to just, we're at the buzzer. It's like, you missed the last 3.
Well, I mean,
what makes me think you're going to make this one?
If the theory that the virus and these riots were just orchestrated by the liberals to make everybody not vote for Trump, it's working on you, right?
Well, and also I always say he's going to decide his own fate. Trump is not my savior. I think the American people are going to have to step up for themselves. Like, that's it.
I think he just needs to stop making childish tweets and acting like an idiot and just be the fucking president. It doesn't matter if you
presidential?
Don't. Yeah, be president. Like, just be. So the guy got killed, and don't just stand up for the cops. Be like, look, I feel bad about this, or let's come together. Like, it's his job to be an inspiration to the world and to calm the nation. Like a mom calms a child that's scared of the dark. It's the president's job to do that with the country as well, and that can just be through speech, through giving a speech. When Obama, I don't know if they actually killed Osama bin Laden, SEAL Team 6. I don't think they did. That's a crazy story. But when he came on and gave that speech, it made me feel like proud to be an American. Just the way, he was like, we got this guy, this terrorist. Our boys brought him home. Things like that. Even if it's not great, he needs to be doing something. He doesn't need to be gassing protesters, which I don't know if he actually did that or not. But
No. He didn't do that. Here's the thing, though. So if you want to hear what Donald Trump has to say, you have to seek it out at this point. It's not just going to be put in front of you by the news outlets. Does that make sense? They're silencing him.
It does.
So here's what I'm saying. I have to back out of that because when I watched his rally, he gave this speech, bro, it was so good. It was so uplifting. It was so American. It was like, dude, this makes me so proud to be American. This was a week ago. And then after it was over, I was like, oh, but he's not actually doing it. He's a great speaker, and Obama was too.
Yeah.
But Obama wasn't. I'm talking about action. I don't care how good of a speaker they are, even though it's a plus when they're doing what they're backing up. Donald Trump's speech was, dude, it was awesome. And people said he was so egotistical. He was in the first 15 minutes, but it was 2 hours long. The rest of it, he was shouting out every American that he possibly could. He was talking about all industries. He was talking about all people. He was thanking the Italians he was like getting people to stand up and clap for the Italians because the Italians were, they had AKs or something, or ARs, protecting statues in New York of Christopher Columbus. So, he went through a bunch of different things. He was talking about the farmers. Bro, an hour and 45 minutes was a hoorah towards the people, but the people only saw the first 15 minutes, and I think that's where he screwed up. He should not have started with a story about himself. Even though it was a funny story, he was making fun of himself in the first 15 minutes. It was a huge joke about himself.
Yeah.
Almost falling off the airplane, getting off. He did like a 17-hour day, and he's 76 or something. And he has to walk down a steep platform to get off this plane. And he looks at this general in front of him and says, I don't think I'm making it down that, man. and I can't bust my butt in front of the fake news. Because if I bust my butt in front of the fake news, they're going to diagnose me again with a different disease. So he was making fun of himself, and he basically explained that he got halfway down, and he actually had to grab the soldier and then let go of him real quick and run down. And he said, when the guy came down, he said, I wasn't going to grab you for a long time because they probably say I have Parkinson's or something. So that's why I ran down the ramp. So here's the thing, though. I've had people tell me, oh, he's so egotistical. He's such a narcissist. He's leading a country of 300 million people. If you don't like his personality, that's cool. But personally, if you had a quarterback on a football team, would you want him to be some softly spoken? Narcissism, even though it can be harmful, sometimes it can be good because he has to cut through all the hate. He has to cut through all the hours he has to work. He has to cut through all the things he has to process. And so maybe that confidence, I'd call it confidence. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't cross the line sometimes. Yeah, it crosses the line. We all do. I cross the line all the time with, confidence into narcissism. But I don't think he's all the way over into narcissism land. I think he's very confident. Sometimes he gets a little too confident in himself. But I've seen him a lot of times come back and do an hour 45 minutes as a hoorah towards the American people. And, that's my opinion on it. Now, that's not to speak about the last 3-4 months of no action. That's what really bugs me. Because he can give a speech all day. That's not making it where my kid don't have to wear a mask when she goes to school, or that's not like issues that's not something that directly impacts my life. It makes me feel good for 2 hours, basically. That's it. And then I'm like, now go do it.
Now go do it. Yes. I didn't watch the rally, but I can tell you what I heard about it. Wasn't that many people there? That's all they said. That's all they talked about. Is there wasn't a lot of people there. Not as many people showed up for this rally that Trump claimed.
There was 8,000. There was 8,000 inside, and there was something like 2,000 outside. So there was 10,000. But there was 4 people at Joe Biden's rally. 4.
4 people.
4, bro. I'm holding up one hand right now. 4, no zeros. 4.
The fact that we live in a country where we have that, and it's obvious we haven't even voted yet, and they've already told us who are the only 2 people that we get to vote for. Like, it's Joe Biden, and even the left side that's votes based on political party instead of the candidate. Are saying, "Damn it, we gotta get Joe Biden. He's crazy. He's losing his mind." But that's all we got. Why can't we vote for someone else?
Yeah. Well, even if they don't like Trump, that's fine. But everybody says, "Oh, I had to vote for the lesser of 2 evils with Obama," and I was like, "Well, why aren't you doing that now? Like, if it's like we're forced to do 2 parties and you're gonna pick the lesser of 2 evils, are you telling me that Donald Trump is more evil than Joe Biden?" Even if that's your concept of voting. So some people really do. They vote for the lesser of 2 evils. So if that's the case, which at a minimum I would want that to be the case.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, man. I agree with you. I think the 2-party system has its flaws. But honestly, if you take the propaganda out of everything, the 2-party system works. If you take the corruption and the propaganda, but that's not going to happen, man. We're on a downhill slope. Good and evil.
Yeah.
It's time to pick your side. It's time to pick your side, no matter what religion you are. Just pick your side. Do the right next best thing.
Yeah.
When you can. When nobody's perfect, but
see,
that's kind of how I see it. I keep trying to zoom out.
see, I can't pick a side. And the older I get, the more I lean towards a Republican type, conservative type, I guess. I guess mainly because once. I think more the left side wants to more socialist type things, which is fine. Your camera's off. I don't know if you're still there.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'll just. But I don't know if that's. But I want people to earn their own stuff, pay for their own things. But I also am 100% fine, and I don't think we should be making any laws based on who people want to marry and who people, if you want to dress up.
I totally agree.
If you want to call yourself a woman, that's fine. I don't give a shit what you do. But whenever you want to tax me more and then I've got to pay for universal health care, then no. Like, why should I pay more taxes because I went to college and got a nice job? Like, and you didn't. Like, I mean, and then they just tell you you're an asshole for saying that because you don't care about people.
Sure.
But as I get older, when it comes to finances and stuff, it's America. I mean, there are few people, and when I say few, not the majority, not 10% of the population or less, legitimately can't make enough money if they wanted to. They're disabled, they're not able to work, do something good for themselves. They make poor decisions, I think, a lot of the time. And then just saying that, they, you get all kinds of shit. But
no, it's true though.
So I can't pick a side.
The truth hurts.
I can't pick a side.
When I said pick a side, remember what I said? Zoom out. You're not zoomed out.
Yeah.
Republican, Democrat. I was talking about good and evil. So if the Republicans just tomorrow started actually just being crazy and started murdering people, okay, I'm not with them today or ever again until they change their ways. So I try to. We just happen to have the thing we have with the right and the left.
Yeah. At what point what is good and what is evil? What is considered? Because my mom will consider.
Black and white.
Yeah. Well, let's not say much. Well, now I've already said it. Now I can't say it.
What would you say? Come on, Mama.
Some people would say that some things are considered evil, and other people would say that's. Let's just say cigarettes. My mom would say that's evil. It's a sin to smoke a cigarette. When then another person would say it's just a cigarette. There's nothing wrong with a cigarette. Or eating too much. They'll say it's completely fine. And then the other side will say eating too much is just as bad as a cigarette. What is evil? What's considered evil? Is it the Christian version of devil and God, or what?
Well, no, I think you're proving my point, because I'm talking about every decision you make. You're going to be choosing the side the whole time, good or evil. So if you think cigarettes are evil, choose not to smoke them.
Mm-hmm.
It's case by case by case by case, every single situation. It's not black and white. It's not, I got to adhere to this ideology in order to go for this good and evil thing. No, it's every decision you make, no matter what religion you are, do the good thing. You know what I mean? And I think that's part of it. It's not like choosing a side and getting a tattoo that says, I'm on this team.
Yeah.
It's internally and spiritually choose a side. Are you going to do the next best thing, or are you going to do the next worst thing?
Well,
and nobody's perfect, obviously. But that's what I guess that's what I mean by
the
choosing.
The people out there saying you're all Nazis and fascists and, burning down buildings and cop cars, they think that's good and not evil.
But do they? Can you see inside their soul? That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I think
somebody,
they know what they're doing.
Somebody might.
I think they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They're choosing a side.
Yeah.
So that's their right to choose that side. Now, the side, wherever you choose could have consequences. Actually, I think there's greater consequences being pro-America, pro-God right now, pro-life. I think you're more likely to get hurt being that than you are to go and burn down a building or tear down a monument. That's okay.
Yeah.
But
it's kind of getting
speaking
to
against abortion, or it's getting weird. It's getting kind of backwards, like if you were playing the Zeppelin record backwards.
Yeah. It's all coming full circle, man. It's coming full. It's coming full circle. Zeppelin.
So you want to get back on this list, man? We digress.
It's fine, man. It's fine.
Thing's long.
It's
so
a lot.
WikiLeaks exposed Hillary Clinton for being.
Yeah. Look, we'll go through. We don't have to hit every one of them. Maybe some that you're more familiar with. We've talked about Google censoring things. No, that's adrenochrome. That's where they're talking about taking kids and sucking their life essence out. To me, that seems.
That's deep in the fabric. It's deep in the fabric.
That's deep. I mean, I can honestly say I think that the media. When I say the media, it's three companies that run every news channel, all of them, like it doesn't matter if they're Fox News or CNN. I guarantee you they both have the same boss up like way up top, and they're like,
Yeah.
look, I mean, there's a clip, and it was on YouTube, and it's a bunch of newscasters saying the same thing, and it's like 50 or more.
Project Mockingbird.
I guess, and they were saying,
Mockingbird.
like
it's like they're all mocking.
Yeah, and it says
thing.
It's Christmas time. Go out and buy yourself a gift or 2 or 10, and it's like that little joke that they do.
Christmas time.
Yeah, and it shows all over the nation, small ones, big ones, and you're like, there's no way all these people, and it just lets you know that the news is controlled by somebody up top, and they're telling you what to think, and they're telling you what's going on, and they're telling you, hey, this is what's really happening in the world. You should get really upset about it and go out and do something about it so we can get whatever the hell they're trying to get done, I guess.
And look, what you're referring to is, that's kind of their right, but here's the problem with that, to me, is we were talking about the censorship earlier. YouTube's doing the complete opposite. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to own big monopolist corporations and control the narrative. But as soon as you have a YouTube channel, just using your First Amendment right, your right in the Bill of Rights to just speak your mind,
yeah,
and it doesn't go along with their narrative. I don't know, man. Sometimes it rattles my brain so much that I can't even believe that I'm alive right now in this time period.
Well, we had so much hopes for the internet.
It's still catching up to me.
Yeah.
It's still catching up to me because when we were in high school, I mean, how old are you, 26, 27?
I'm 32.
24? You're 32. Okay, cool. So when we were in high school, you were a senior, I was a freshman.
Yeah.
Man, we had it made. Can you even wrap your head around how good we had it? Just being able to just go to school, get out of school, go play with your band after school, or go do something, hang out, go to a restaurant. I don't think we're actually really grasping what we're in the middle of, like this big social medical experiment. It's bizarre.
Yeah. See, the thing about it is, I started myself starting to go, it's been 4 months and I don't know anybody that's got it, and it didn't really impact many people that much. But once everybody started opening back up, I now know people. And when I say like I know them, like I know who they are, it's not like some guy on my Facebook page that I knew in high school. It's like people I know.
Sure.
And they got it. Now, I don't know if they're like in the hospital dying from it, but they tested positive for it. So
more than likely not. I mean, people who've had the flu, and there's lots and lots of people who die from the flu every year. But you get it every few years, probably. I get it every few years, every 5 to 6, maybe 7 years.
Yeah.
I don't think fear is justifiable for suppressing people's rights and telling them how to live, especially on a medical level. Like if you want to wear a mask, by all means, wear a freaking face guard motorcycle helmet around all the time. That is none of my business. If I don't want to wear a mask, and I don't think that's any of your business. And I'm not saying that to you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying. I'm just saying to other people. Like,
I guess in my opinion, like you don't have to wear a mask unless you go to a store, and stores don't have to enforce it. Well, I guess they do. Stores do, but like if you're in a parking lot,
they don't have to, but they're going along with it. It's not a law.
Yeah, which I think is
anywhere.
I mean, honestly,
and a store can enforce it all day if they want to. That's their right.
Yeah,
but to say,
my thing on it is at this point, like it's a minor inconvenience, maybe to the workers, like that grocery store workers or people that work and have to wear masks all day. That is not a minor inconvenience at that point. But me walking into Walmart and grabbing some groceries, even just to be nice and to put people that are afraid of it at ease, just me being a good, I guess, I'm not saying you're not a good person if you don't wear a mask, but to me, I feel like if I wear it, I'm just putting those other people at ease that do have the fears of that. Women with children in the store, or like older people. It's just kind of like being courteous, I guess, at this point. I mean, it keeps
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
obviously it keeps you from
yeah.
talking and spit coming out of your mouth, and it could get on somebody.
Well,
Is it?
and I think your heart's definitely in the right place with that, and I would agree with that if it was like Ebola, if it was obviously a deadly disease, but it's so obviously not.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's like okay, totally get that if it's actually a thing.
Well,
But it's actually a very weak disease that does target older people with previous health problems. And going back to the mask, I understand you're courteous. And look, like you just saying that proves you're a nice person. That's all that proves. The only thing I would say is it's actually really unhealthy to wear a mask. Like there's people all over, engineers. I'll send you a video after this of the guy using a carbon tester that would be in a room or a hotel room or your house, and basically it goes off just by holding it next to the mask because he's retaining all this carbon dioxide, and it might not kill you instantly, but it might take 10 years off your life. You didn't even know it. Just a little soft kill. You know what I mean? So,
well,
but
shit.
here, let me say this about the mask. Because this is interesting to me. Where I'm at in the country working, and for the purposes of this video, I'll just say like central. I'm like dead smack in the middle of the country.
Okay.
And everywhere I go, like restaurants, grocery stores, everywhere I go here, people want you to have the mask on until you cross the threshold of the door. Texas Roadhouse, Walmart, Big Lots, these local bars, everywhere you go through the threshold, they're like, you can take it off. If anybody drives by and sees you going in there without a mask, like they're afraid of their city councils and their mayors who just spoke law into existence because that's how we make laws now.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you cannot leave your house without a Stanley product placement. Stanley coffee cup. That's now a law because I just spoken into existence. The difference is I don't hold any office, so it doesn't count. But you can just speak law into existence now. So I just noticed that people do not care once you get inside, and they know it's a phony thing, but they're like, we're just all gonna go with it. If we would just stop going with it, it would be over. It's like Morgan Freeman says about racism. Stop talking about it.
Yeah, just quit talking about it. But
Yeah.
I think though, what if it was Ebola? Shouldn't the government be able to say you have to stay in your house because people are going to die? I mean, we might have been misinformed about COVID.
If it was Ebola, people would not be talking like me and you are. We wouldn't even have a conversation about a hoax, and people would be taking it super seriously. I took it seriously for 2 weeks as, a truly concerned American. Like, I made sure I went to Sam's, I got all these groceries, I got all these supplies, I got my 3 kids kind of settled at the house, and I said, hey, we're just going to chill in the pool, we're going to hang out at the house, we're not going to go anywhere, we're going to see what this is all about, and, I let it ride out. I might even went a month, actually, just keeping everybody at the house, keeping everybody safe, doing research, listening to these people, and I wasn't against it from day one. It's just, where do we draw the line, I guess, is what I would ask.
Yeah.
Where do we draw the line and say, okay, done playing house, or fake hospital with everybody now. Can we please stop?
Well, we'll see. I mean,
or do you just go with it for 12 years? What if 12 years comes by? Do you think you would have drawn the line, or you still be super courteous man?
I think this will be the test. I think that by that point I would have a different opinion on it. I think, though, at this point, because right now it is turning into what we thought it was going to turn into if we didn't lock down in the first place 4 months ago. So in the next 2 months...
So what do you know about the botched numbers?
I know that the flu stopped killing people for some reason. And COVID numbers went up, and everybody with heart attacks stopped having heart attacks and started dying of COVID instead. Essentially what it turned into is if you went to the hospital and you had COVID at all and you died at all, then you got counted as death by COVID, even if you were asymptomatic of COVID, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Which would take the Yeah, and which would take the death toll tremendously down. And here's what they won't tell you on CNN or on these other big site or news outlets is, yes, cases have gone up since we've opened. They won't tell you the deaths have gone down. Even with their cheating numbers, deaths have gone down. They can't cheat enough.
You know,
they can't cheat the numbers enough
I have not
to make it, a true story.
I see that pop up
Now,
all the
cases
time.
have gone up. They ride on cases. Cases are up. Cases are up.
Highest cases in the county.
Down.
Yeah. You're talking some stuff right now. They have not talked about the death. So I guess really
that's why this First Amendment we're exercising right now is important, because you taught me some stuff. I've informed you. Imagine if we didn't have this, which is what they want.
Where you just listen to what they say.
The Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is the first important amendment, because without the second, we can't protect the rest.
Yeah.
The First Amendment is like right on its heels. In my opinion.
Second is guns, right?
Second Amendment is the right to bear arms.
Right to bear arms. So you're all about guns, having guns. I think it's fine to have guns.
Yeah.
I don't really
absolutely.
understand the argument,
it.
but I don't understand what their
There's
argument
no
on it. To me, here's what it always seems to me when somebody.
An unarmed society is the society you can control the easiest. That's the argument.
Well, I mean, and to me, it's even simpler than that. I don't think that if the government really said, you know what, we're turning into a dictatorship and we're going to send out tanks, there'll be a few people come out with guns and the army will just mow them down. Like, we're not going to defend. I don't think we'll honestly be able. I'm not going to take a gun and run out into the street. I mean, if the army shows up at my house, if 4 army guys show up at my house, they're going to kick my ass. Whether I have a shotgun, a pistol, or an AR-15, they're going to kick my ass and kill me if they wanted to. So I don't think it's really, we could really defend ourselves from the government. But I think it's just a right. I have the right to have a gun. And they say, well, why do you need an automatic gun? I don't know, because I like to shoot automatic guns. That's why I think I have the right to have a gun, because I want it.
Sure.
And a lot of the times I think people are just ill-informed. They say, well, you shouldn't have AR-15s and for hunting deer, and it's like,
and bump stocks
and all that stuff it's just misinformation. Like, machine guns, fully out of automatic weapons, are illegal. You can't own one. And these AR-15s.
I mean, there's machine guns that are illegal in warfare. I mean, there's plenty of illegal, automatic weapons.
The big scary black gun that everybody talks about as an assault rifle or whatever. It's the same exact thing as those little Remington guns that people hunt with. It's just a different shape. It's essentially the same thing. You pull the trigger, it shoots a bullet. It's more of a sport. I mean, you can
it's actually
have
a smaller bullet than say a 3.6 or
Yeah, I mean
30. 40 mil.
And at the end of the day, more handguns kill more people than assault rifles. More handguns.
Absolutely.
And
totally
nobody
agree.
wants to get rid of handguns. They say, why don't you just have a little handgun? Well, handguns kill more people. So there's no argument.
If you look at like just history, citizens having firearms has done more good, overwhelmingly more good than it has bad.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had some terrible situations with like the Vegas shooting and Parkland and Columbine, and I'm not denying those things at all. But imagine if we would have had an armed officer in the school, or teachers who were allowed to, have some kind of safe system and training in place. And that will never happen. But my whole point of saying that is, people can still carry. It's their right to do so in churches. And there have been more, church services saved, or church congregations saved by a congregation member than has been, murdered. And so, to me, it all goes back to good and evil. It's bad people. It's not the firearm itself. In fact, you take the firearm itself, the bad people ain't going to give up their gun. And they're going to find a way to get them.
Yeah, they'll get them illegally.
You want the good people to have them, too. Yeah, you want the good people to have guns. You want good people to have firearms, because they're going to help protect each other.
Well,
that kind of goes back to your thing. Like, you're not going to walk outside your house You might not, but what if your parents are out there? What if somebody you do know decides, I'm going out there to stand up? You might have to change of heart at that point, and I think we underestimate the unity that we could have with each other in a situation like that. Because it's like fight or flight. Yeah, there's going to be some people that, that hide in the basement or whatever. But I don't say I can, but I feel like I can look at people and judge their good character, and I would say, that dude, in that situation, he would fight because he's just a good person. I'm not basing that off any macho thing. I'm just like, he's a good person. I feel like he would be forced to choose, to do the right thing. And think about this, man. We've had people through generations that, had to lay on the ground and bleed out by themselves while thinking about their wives and children for what they believed in and for the sovereignty of our country. And we're kind of scared, and I'll admit I'm scared to speak. Like, I'm scared to speak. That's my battle. And there are men who laid in the ground and bled out. So we've become a very, I don't think of the word, cucked society, especially the males. And look, I'm just as guilty, and I'm trying to make up for not being that way before. My whole thing is protect my wife, protect my children. And so when I boil it down to that, it makes it way easier to live life because I'm kind of centrally focused on that.
Yeah.
And I really do. I hope that, I hope we can bring that back. And, it's been portrayed as, I don't know what you call it, like feminists call it this all the time. I've actually been called it. Something about masculinity. I don't know. What
Toxic masculinity,
like,
where you're too manly, and it's like it's bad.
100%. That's what it's called. I've been like, somebody's accused me of that before, and I was just like, sorry if you think that. But to me, it comes back to good versus evil. Evil wants to destroy the family, and the family works best when you have a masculine male, a very caring and feminine woman as the mother of the household, and then and y'all are raising your children because you're trying to do the right thing. I think it's just an attack on good, which is family. Family's good. I mean, don't you think family is good?
I think family is good. I don't know if it has to be I honestly don't think it has to be a masculine male or a feminine woman. I just think it needs to be good people raising kids to be good people. And by good, I don't mean follow certain rules of certain religions or doesn't do this or that. As long as they're taught, be good people. Don't be an asshole. Earn your stuff. Work hard for what you want in life. That's all it needs. And be there for your kids. I personally
100%.
subscribe to, for my personal family, it's a heterosexual family, which is fine for me. But I mean, I don't think if there was a homosexual family that treated their kids right and made sure they were fed and went to school.
And let me clarify on that, because that's a good point. Let me clarify. I know some people that are homosexual and they've adopted children, and they're totally great. They have a beautiful family. What I'm actually, I think, talking about more is the cultural war and the information war that it's like no family at all. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need anybody. The feminist movement, I don't think, is totally about that, but I think there is a piece of it that preaches, like, you don't need that family. You don't need, like, bondage like that.
You don't need a man in your life.
Focus on your career, and there's nothing wrong with focusing on your career, but there is something to be said about when you wipe all that away, what's going to really be there? The people you love most. Your career, it can come and go. You never know. So I think family, like you're saying, whether it's heterosexual or just homosexual partnership, whatever, I think it's important to have people you love, because then you'll think a little bit more about your decisions. You'll think a little more about everything you do, because you're not just thinking about yourself. There's somebody else in the equation. So you're having to take that into account.
I mean, that's what it's about, I guess. Just be a good person.
All right. What do we got on this list? I'm going to go way down. What about these celebrities? Oprah, Ellen, Obama?
Okay.
Gates?
Yeah, so we had Ellen. They're going to get called out. And, straight up, I can talk about 9/11.
Some of them are already.
I can talk about 9/11 all night. I know all about 9/11.
See, See, that's something you're going to have to school me on because I know what I think I need to know about it.
Dude, look,
but I'm not way down in there.
9/11 is the OG conspiracy theory, and it starts off.
It is OG.
Yeah, you used to be able to go on YouTube and look at it, and there was all kinds of different theories. Now, a lot of them were people just trying to get you to freak out, which is fine. But you could dig through it and see different things. But so 9/11, the day before 9/11 happened, so 9/10. $3 trillion something dollars went missing from the budget, America's budget fund or something.
Oops.
Yeah, they mentioned, oops, we lost $3 trillion, like what the stimulus package thing that we just sent out was.
Did they explain how they lost it? Like, were they driving down
it was
bridge with a
it was in his wallet, and he went to buy gas and he left it sitting on the pump, and somebody must have got it.
That $1 trillion bill.
$1 trillion bill. So that happened, and then the owner of the Twin Towers had recently just upped his insurance on both of the buildings to where he'd get a significant payout. He made billions of dollars off those being blown up. And kind of the things that are the most obvious about it is the Pentagon was hit by an airplane. And the airplane, from where it was coming, had to do a 270-degree maneuver, right? Which is hard to do in a regular plane. So it had to fly around like this to hit the Pentagon. Flown by guys from Iraq that were not pilots.
Commercial pilots.
Yeah, they flew a 747, whatever the hell kind of airplane it was. And when they hit the towers, the camera that caught it, that frame didn't show up. So you don't actually see the plane. And there was only one. It didn't knock over any of the light poles in front of it. And you can go look at it. There's none of the light poles are knocked over. And the hole in the side of the Pentagon is the size of the fuselage, but there's no wings. And they didn't recover any of the airplanes.
Burnt to a crisp.
Okay, yeah, so the plane crashes in Pennsylvania and nothing survives. It's every single fucking thing in there turned into ash. All right? Second of all,
they couldn't even test the ash.
They couldn't. And the plane that they found, the guy that was driving the plane, they found his passport. Guess where?
Perfect condition, sitting on a bench.
It was, no, literally, somebody found it on the ground because when he flew the airplane into the building, it exploded into fire that was so hot that they say it melted steel beams, which made the building fall. But that paper passport... But his
passport made it to the ground.
Made it to the ground, and the guy that found it just handed it to some cop, and he was like, hey, I just randomly pick up things during this crazy emergency. Here's a passport of just some random guy. Here you go. And then he disappears. Then Trade Center 7 falls, which wasn't hit and was a few blocks away and had all kinds of records about what was going on in the Trade Center.
Dude, you really do know all about that.
Oh, I can keep on going forever about it.
The one thing I thought was interesting, you tell me about this because I did see it. You're going to know about it.
Mm-hmm.
So what I thought was interesting was right before it hit, maybe 30 seconds to a minute, the reporter's already saying that it hit.
Yeah.
Is there a video like that?
Yeah.
The reporter's like, oh my gosh, it just hit. And it hadn't hit yet.
Yeah, there's reports where they are talking about it, and you can see the buildings in the background. Now, they could have been having some kind of screen or something, but they're still up, and they're talking about it before it hits.
Did they or did they not? Did they come out and say, oh, sorry, that was green screen? Like...
They just don't talk about it.
I don't know.
What they did, and here's why I question things when someone gets real mad at you. People that questioned it, Alex Jones, Jesse Ventura, they would question it and they go, I knew people that were in that building. You son of a bitch. How dare you? And to me, like, that's not really.
That's more reason to question.
That's more reason. Like, hey, your family member died. Aren't you concerned that this could have been something pulled off by us or something that we at least let happen? On that day, they said, so George Bush and whoever, Condoleezza Rice, I guess whoever was running the country at that time, they said we had no plans for what to do if this happened. We had no idea that anything like this could ever happen. So we had no like contingency plan, right? The day, and this is dead truth, and you can find the audio of people saying it. They were having a drill that day, that morning. Do you want to know what the drill was? What would happen?
Was it a fire drill?
It was a fire drill. No, what would happen if a terrorist hijacked a commercial airplane and flew it into a building? They were having a drill. So whenever they called in and said, hey, there's people hijacking a plane, everybody on the radios and the towers, in the military, thought it was that drill that they were having. So that's why it took so long for them to even get the planes scrambled.
Yeah.
And
well, to me, it's like I know for a fact because I do a lot of drone work with my profession, and I have to communicate with the FAA from time to time in certain places.
Yeah.
And they can tell when my drone is up in the air. They can either sense it, and I know that small thing, and we're a lot of years ahead of 9/11. But to me, it's like the government could have stopped those planes probably 25 miles out, like sent some kind of fighter jets or something. Like,
yes.
How did they get in that vicinity? That's what I'm asking. Without anybody being like, oh,
well,
like range control was like.
That's what I'm saying. They were having a drill, and everybody was calling saying, "Is this a drill or not?" And they were all talking back and forth. You can find the air traffic control, and they're all asking each other, "Is this a drill or not?" And everybody was just like, "I don't know. I think it's a drill." Nobody could figure it out, and that's how they supposedly got that close in airplane.
Wow, I see. Okay, now I see what you're saying. Yeah. So
it's like
they manipulated the control system. Okay.
Yeah, so everybody thought, oh, it's that drill they're having today. And then remember those very sad stories of the guys calling their wives, honey, I love you. I'm about to go into the building. We're being hijacked. Notice anything odd about that statement just in 2001?
I haven't heard those, but inform me.
Well,
give me the gist.
I'll give you the gist. This is all you need to know for you to go, that don't make sense. There was a guy in 2001 on a flip phone type cell phone thing on an airplane talking to his wife from 30,000 feet in the air on a cell phone.
Okay. Got it. You got it. He had a 8-inch Nokia, okay, with a changeable cover. Got it. So
yes.
Nokia.
And
that doesn't work. That would only work when my parents would like climb a tree in the yard.
Yeah.
So he's doing that at 30,000 feet. Okay.
Yeah, a bunch of people did, and even like you can't do that now. I mean, you can do it through the internet.
Yeah, and even if it was possible then, it was probably possible in the where the pilots were. Yeah. They might have had some sophisticated bag phone antenna hanging off the side of the thing. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to doubt that, but to think that all the passengers made their way up there and took turns on the phone, or used their cell phones, which is even more preposterous. No, I have to look into that, but that sounds pretty interesting. You know what's funny is I think they fake this stuff so bad on purpose sometimes because they want to be like, look how stupid they are. We can just
look at this.
We can make them wear masks for 7 months. I bet. Hey, you think we can make them wear masks for 7 months? Dude,
no, ain't no way. Stupid. There's two guys like sitting in this big gold mansion.
Where's my money? It's been 5 months. I told you we can make them do it.
It's like, dude, I bet you North Korea.
Betting on it.
Like he's like, no, I get America if you win, and then he's like, no, dude, I'm gonna take Japan, North Korea. Like they're just playing with the world.
Yeah, dude. It's their own private casino operation.
Yeah.
They're betting on it.
George Bush's father is I don't know what his place is, but he's high up in Halliburton, right? The oil company. Dick Cheney was the vice president during that time. Bush was, I guess, some sort of puppet that they got in so they could keep, running it. I guess they were going to have Bush, Clinton, another Bush, then Hillary Clinton, just keep it a dual monarchy for a few years. After 9/11, when they told them they had weapons of mass destruction, which they didn't, they just assumed they did, we went to Iraq, which is not where Osama bin Laden was from or whatever. They got all the oil contracts, Halliburton, and they were no bid contracts, meaning like if you sell something to the government, you have to bid on it, and you have to have multiple options. So the government can pick the lowest one, so there's competition. Halliburton got to charge whatever they wanted for the oil that they got when they were over there. And then they were like, oh, nothing happened, sorry, they didn't have it. They didn't do it. But
yeah, there was a lot of strings, it sounds like, that were involved.
And
pulling,
it was Patriot.
I know there was like Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton was definitely colluding in some way, right? I mean, what she had to testify about it.
On 9/11, I don't know. I haven't heard much on her end of it.
It was. I think it was a little minute compared to what you're talking about.
Yeah. But that goes into after we went there, those two countries and all the countries we went over there to fight ended up with Rothschild centralized
banking systems.
It's funny, huh? And then the only countries left, it's North Korea and Russia, maybe? I don't remember. There's like two.
Probably Russia. They get such a bad rap by the media. I have a feeling that they're not as terrible as everybody says.
Yeah, there's a few more. And who were we fighting at the beginning of this year, or talking about going to World War III with? North Korea. And North Korea doesn't have a centralized bank. Essentially, the Rothschilds will own all our money. And every war we've been in, Vietnam, every war we've been in,
has been a power grab.
But once we're done with that war, they end up with a Rothschild bank, and we don't fuck with them anymore.
Right, you go way deeper than I do, to be honest. Like, I kind of stay on like the American freedom side of things.
Yeah,
and you're way down the rabbit hole.
That's where I got. That's where I got.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's where I got with 9/11. That's why I was saying this was kind of interesting. It's like 9/11 Part 2. 9/11 started all of this. Anyway, so
I would agree with you. And if they can fly stuff, or they can fake that, they can fake
whatever they want.
Virus. This is an easy one compared to the planes.
I mean, technically, all they got to do is tell you it, and then send out tests.
They're just stretching. I think they're just stretching. I think they've got something bigger planned, especially approaching November. Because if Trump would just sell himself out for them, they wouldn't be doing all this, because they'd have a guy who would be their puppet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As much as people don't like him, like, he's just not selling out. Yeah, he's egotistical. He's whatever. But he's not selling out, and that's why they are attacking him on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, on a minute.
They hate Trump. A lot of people
Trump. Dude, it is so crazy how much people hate the president of the United States.
I've never seen it this bad. I mean, some people didn't like Bush. Some people didn't like Obama. But, at first I kind of thought it was the same thing. And Obama got elected, and everybody, I think there was a lot of it based on his color. People liked him just because he was African American or whatever. And then the other side just fucking hated him. And they would never admit it, but it was because he was black. And it was one of those things. And they chose that, and then they didn't say, I like him because he's black. I like him for all these policies, and he's a good guy and all this stuff. Or I hate him because he did this and this and this. But, what's really happening?
Yeah, well, I'll say, I mean, I'm from the country, and I know a lot of old country dudes. They didn't hate Obama because he was. I'm not going after you on the statement. I'm just saying that I think there were probably 10 guys out in the woods who did hate him because he was black. But all the old country boys I knew, I'm talking about 50s, 60s, all them old country boys. They didn't hate him. They didn't like just like because he was black.
Yeah.
They just liked him because he let he wanted to let man go in a little girl's restroom and you could just make a list. That's the country people that I knew. I honestly think I was still too naive and young, even though I shouldn't have been at that point. I should have been fully informed. I just wasn't into politics. I was focusing on music, focusing on other things. So I can't speak too much on him. I think that like everybody's like, oh, people hate him because he was black. I was like, no, you're thinking of the 10 hillbillies that nobody even talks to.
To me, I didn't delve into politics too much. I can tell you that the Obamacare did help people. I don't know. At that point in my life, I wasn't making much money, so of course I liked it because I could get cheaper health care, but I don't know how much the people that worked hard for their money were being taxed extra for that. So I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, health care, I could have worked harder if I wanted to, definitely with health care. And he was an excellent speaker. He was a great speaker. I can tell you that.
Better than that, man. He was.
But I don't know if he was bad or good, to be honest with you. I don't really know much of what he did.
Like me and you, right? So we're talking right now. We're engaged, and this is kind of reminding me of the Joe Rogan podcast. Honestly, it's like you're able to engage without a cadence. There's not like a specific way that I am trying to talk to say these things.
Yeah.
And I felt like every president's had that. And you go back and look at them, like almost like Project Mockingbird you were talking about. They all have a cadence. Talk. And Trump has a style, but he ain't got no cadence. Dude. This dude talks like he's sitting down at his rally. I'm telling you, it was so funny the first 15 minutes. If you don't watch anything else, watch the first 15 minutes. Because I was like, okay, he's not the president anymore. He can go into comedy. He could just be. He reminds me of like Ron White somehow became
the president.
Sometimes he takes on like that. I don't care. I'm going to make this joke. I'm going to run across stage, like he did that night. And I haven't seen another president do that. Like just be free flowing with their speech.
Yeah, I mean.
Now Obama was very calculated. I'm not going to take that away from Obama. He was a very good speaker, calculated. But did he motivate me ever? I'm not sure.
I don't know. Yeah, probably
did. When Donald Trump looks at the camera and says, things like, I'm going to fight for you. And he's like yelling, I'm going to fight for you, America, and this kind of thing. And I don't want to like quote stuff specifically, but there's just a different style. And maybe it's also a show. Maybe it is a cadence. And I'm just not seeing it because I like it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, the thing about Donald Trump, if he would just stop bragging about everything, like whenever he was doing those.
But how does that affect politics? Does that affect?
I guess it doesn't.
Legislation or anything?
But it just it does.
Doesn't, so it's like
well. Here's how it kind of does. If I'm the leader of
people don't like it.
if I'm the leader of America, if I'm the leader of a small church, okay, and if the way I talk is dividing that church, and what I'm saying is unnecessary for him to, then he probably just. I get it. He's that's his personality, but there's a point where your personality needs to. You also need to take into account when I go and talk to say I'm going to sell something to a customer. I'm not going to walk up there and be like, "What up, bitches? This is just how I talk. You want to buy my shit or not?" No, I'm going to be like, "Hello, thank you for coming into." I'm going to be a little more polite and reserved based on the person. And if him getting up there and saying stuff that is just like, what did he say? He said he was the best president that's done the most for African Americans, and he was like, except for Abraham Lincoln. But maybe I'm better than Abraham Lincoln. But saying that is kind of puts people off, and he might be right, he might be wrong. But him saying that, it's kind of like me if I were to walk into like a gay club or something, be like, and say something that's like, gay people, it's wrong to be gay or something. I don't know. I can't really think of a thing, but something that me saying that is pointless. But he could probably do without some of that stuff, and he can get more supporters on the other side.
But here's the thing with you. I understand where you're coming from, but with you, even with you, I can see you can cut through that and just look at the bottom line. Like, is the guy helping us or is he hurting us? I don't like his personality. You know, he's egotistical, but you can cut through all that and say, but he's our president. Is he doing good? Is he doing bad? You can make that evaluation. I think people need to rewire their brains to get past people's personalities. You know, like, this is my thing. I'm cool with him bragging about himself. I'm cool because to me, he's always saying we. You know, he's like, we've done more for this country, and he's like always talking about his campaign trail, you know, people and all that. I'm cool with him doing that. I really am. I just wanted to back it up. That's all I want him to do.
Back it up.
I'm serious. Like, but here's what's weird. Maybe I'm a terrible egotistical person or something because when I watch him speak, I don't get that vibe ever because he's always shouting out everybody at all times. But that's the thing. You've got to watch the whole thing. Because if you just let CNN curate the parts of the speech you want to see, and Facebook and all these other things, then that's what you're going to see. And I'm not saying like watch every single, but give the original cut a watch, because CNN and them are usually going to cut in about 30 seconds, and then it's going to be voiceover over the images.
Yeah,
and
and
it's talking about why that was wrong.
It's always misleading. Whatever they want it. Want it to be, they can make it seem like that's what is going on based on how they
think about this. If me and you were being seen by the whole world, I could get caught up on so much crap. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, if we were under that microscope. So that's why I think it's more important to look at the bottom line than the nitpickiness. Because if me or you, and I'm not saying anything about you because I don't know about your personal life, but if we were under that microscope, they'd find something.
Yeah.
They'd find something, and that would just be it, and that's what they would focus on. I'm not saying Donald Trump's perfect. I already told everybody on this that he is not my savior, and I am pissed at kind of the way he has dealt with coronavirus, with the riots. Although I'm kind of now leaning towards that was a good strategy. Let them do it so that they can get ridiculed for the destruction. You know, because he would have just sent troops in and to get these people out, and it would have been like, oh, he's trying to create a police state, da-da-da. I think you had to let it play out a little bit, and maybe some people were realizing, holy crap, I shouldn't have burned down that building, or I shouldn't even been part of this. Hopefully people are having that realization. So I'm not too upset with in hindsight, I'm not upset with the way he handled that. Of course, I'm angry just because, you know, I'm thinking about, you know, these people in Seattle who built their businesses, and it took 20 years, and they've got this donut shop, and they got kids, and, you know, they're paying for college, and all of a sudden, they're not allowed to open anymore. And, you know, that's what I'm thinking about. So I have a tendency to, like, you know, I might not vocalize it right away, but I have a tendency to get pretty hot about Americans being effed with.
Yeah.
That I'm immediately like, I got to restrain myself.
Well, that's
I'm just about people. I love people.
That's the I guess the dichotomy of this whole thing is it really that bad? Are we going to save lives by closing the country down? But businesses, small businesses, a lot of times you think, oh, that guy's a business owner. He's just rolling in the dough. Businesses don't make money for the first few years. You know, they make $0. 5 years.
No profit.
No profit. So, I mean, there was a company right up the road here in Hattiesburg, ice cream. They make ice cream rolls. And they had just opened, and they closed.
Yeah.
Because they can't, there's no money.
That place was great, too, I heard.
Yeah. A lot of places closed just because they didn't have the money. I mean, some of those people are living paycheck to paycheck.
Notice the lockdown. You know, when it was bad, I mean, it's getting better, I'll admit, but when it was bad, local businesses could not open, could not have one person in their store, could not this, could not that. But hey, Walmart, who's got plenty of money to spare, Home Depot's got plenty of money to spare, Sam's Club's got plenty of money. They can be open with 200, 300 people in their store every hour. And, you know, I want to bring that up because, you know, there have been times when our Constitution, some pieces of our Constitution and Bill of Rights have had to be kind of just put to the side a little bit during wartime, but it was always universal. So if they were going to do that, it was across the board. They didn't limit it to small businesses. If they was going to close everybody, they should have closed everybody.
Well,
not just the small businesses. That's where it's unfair and unconstitutional, and I think just a coup to destroy our economy.
But did they? I don't think they didn't do it that way. They closed down like if you had a small grocery store, you could still be open. The butcher shop in
Sure.
Laurel was open, and they're small business.
Yeah.
So it was more just,
Well, what about hair salon people? They still got to feed people.
yeah. I mean,
No.
I guess what they were doing,
And they would have less people in their salon.
yeah. I guess the rationale is, to me, the rationale. Not saying it's right or wrong, but the rationale was,
Yeah.
they have. You're not going to die if you don't get a haircut, but if you don't get to go to the grocery store, you are. And if you can't repair your leaky faucets and go to Home Depot, but I mean, Alexander's was probably still open, and Ace Hardware and
Yeah,
all those.
I always have to think about, like they said, non-essential and essential. Well, I think everything's essential. All businesses are essential because it's essential that hair salon stylist woman who has 2 kids, she's a single mom. It's essential that she's able to pay her bills and feed her children because she actually might die if they become homeless.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like you gotta.
Yeah.
It's complex, man.
But they sent out $1,200.
For 18 weeks. Yeah, you're right. Okay, that's plenty of money.
I mean,
Plenty of money.
what does shit cost nowadays? How much is rent?
$10 a month.
$10 a month. I mean, it's supposed to.
Groceries are 75.
Stimulates the economy. You know, the people on unemployment though, were making really good money. It was like,
which is a problem.
It was like 50,000 a year.
Yeah.
Like equivalent, to making $50,000 a year.
The reason that's a problem is because you're shrinking the base of people that make up that fund, and you're growing the base of people that are exploiting that fund.
Yeah.
And that's a recipe for a downward spiral of economic collapse because it's like supply and demand. If the demand and the supply is not there for you to incentive to come back to work, then why would you? You know, you're going to have more money. But the catch-22 is more businesses are going to close, inflation's going to go up, and it's almost like it's like the record spinning backwards on the legend of the record spinning backwards. Even though I'm not like, oh, Iron Man backwards is this or Led Zeppelin backwards is this, I think there's some truth to like Satan worship or whatever you want to call it, evil. I think there's some truth to doing things the opposite. You know what I mean? And like. It's almost like a giant ritual in a way, or it's a lifestyle. It's like if our lifestyle is true, their lifestyle is deceit. And I'm not like pointing at anybody. I just mean like evil's lifestyle is deceit, ours is truth, and it's a constant battle. And I keep trying to zoom out, so it's like good versus evil. But yeah, that's a rabbit hole for you.
Rabbit holes are good. So I mean, I don't guess there's really an answer. I mean, maybe there is. I don't know the answer. I still don't know the answer.
Well, look, you got to find your answer. For me, even though I fall short, it's Jesus Christ. Like, that's my answer, personally. But I still think it boils down to that good and evil, and in my faith, it tells me that evil is going to conquer the world, and, there's going to be these terrible times, and is this the start of it? I don't know. I'm sure the people who went through the Holocaust thought it was the end of the world. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they probably thought same thing. So maybe we're just going through another cycle of that, and hopefully we'll have another 80 years of decent, life on Earth. Yeah. But who knows?
I mean, hopefully. I subscribe to the notion that it is what it is. I honestly just think it's growing pains with the internet. We're not used to it. Same thing when we started the Industrial Revolution. We were putting kids in, and we didn't know how to handle having people working for you instead of earning your own farm and trading that way. And we went over that hump. And I think the technology age is what we're going to be in. Copper Age, Bronze Age, blah blah blah. People discovered religion, and then that became an age. And then now. We're just in the technology age. We're not used to having all this information at our fingertips. We're not used to being manipulated so easily. So I think that's what it is. Like we think everything comes back to this a lot of the times is people love to quote that old TV commercial where there was a girl that says, "Oh, it was on the internet." you can't put anything on the internet that isn't true. And all the old people thought that was so funny. They were like, ha ha ha, you stupid kids. And now everybody over 50 on the internet believes every fucking thing they see on the internet. They're like, I want Trump to be a bad guy. They see something that says Trump's a bad guy, they go, that's right, I believe that. And the other side sees it and they go, that's right, I believe. They just believe everything that's on the internet and nobody looks at it. So people think that there's this big war going on and they've got to, fight it, and they get mad at each other, and they think that the gays are coming to take over, the trans people are trying to, teach your kids to be gay. When I was talking to Bubba the other day, he said, he was talking about like how he has other business people around him, and he says they never even think about like the race or whatever. They go out and they talk to each other and they see each other and stuff. He said the only time we even kind of think or look or think that maybe there's something going on is when the news starts telling everybody that cops are out trying to kill black people. Then you go out and you think, well, maybe they're mad at me about, maybe they think I'm that way too. But if you were to just lay off the internet for a while, people would probably just chill out. I'm sure there is bad stuff going on, but
I personally work with about a mixture in my job currently, where it's half black, it's half white, and we're working out in remote areas. I'm not going to say exactly what we're doing, but we're working out in remote areas to where there is no internet service. We're around each other all day long, and two of my best friends on this crew are black, and we haven't once talked about all this nonsense that's going on in the world. In fact, we're planning on shooting a music video like in a couple of weeks. We're just like hanging out. We're having dinner together. And I honestly have not had one bad interaction with a black American or Mexican American or Latino American that I have talked to. It's all on the news. I don't look at that, and I look in the eyes of these people, and we don't have a problem with each other. We all have families. We all are in this. It feels like together, even though that sounds cliche. We just don't talk about it, and we just talk about music and life and whatever we want to talk about. It's just interesting to me because it's like, if there's such a race problem, how come I'm not experiencing it like everybody else? Even like the opposite way. Like, why aren't these people treating me different? You know what I mean? They should. If there's white supremacy and I'm a white supremacist, shouldn't they be angry at me instead of my friends?
Yeah.
These people are my good friends. Like, and they would probably say the same thing. If there's such a race problem, how come Boris isn't a jerk to me? How come he hangs out with me? It's like, it's pretty obvious we don't have a race problem. I encourage people to go look up Morgan Freeman's 60 Minutes interview about that, to where the interviewer says, so how are we going to fix the race problem in America? And Morgan Freeman says, stop talking about it.
Yeah, I saw
I'm
that.
Stop calling. He says, I'm going to stop calling you a white man. You stop calling me a black man. And I'll know you as whatever that guy's name was. And you can know me as Morgan Freeman. And it'll all go away, Yeah. And I think we live in the most that's the thing. Remember, always going backwards. It's always the opposite narrative. I think we live in the most non-racist society, even though we do have our problems. I mean, you can't deny that. We live in the most non-racist society where actually there are college programs that which you go to school because you're not white. Like, you can skip, and I'm not saying there's tons of white people who get scholarships and Mexicans who get scholarships that are freaking brilliant. But there's actually, programs in place that you don't have to be brilliant. You just have to be, a certain ethnicity, and you can get into Ivy League school. So, we've catered and catered and catered, the whole country has, to this race problem, and they always just make up something new, some new problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, we were one of the first countries to abolish slavery. If anything, we're pioneers in that regard. And the best basketball player and the most paid athlete is black. Actually, the top 5 are black. The number one paid actor, Will Smith, is black. The president of the United States was a black American. I think that black Americans are awesome, and they obviously can do whatever they want in this life. You know what I mean? And I feel that for every ethnicity. There's tons of Mexican people that are, super successful, famous even. So to say that people are suppressed in general, I just don't think that that's true in today's age. And I think that we've been working towards this for so long with the different movements, the abolishment of slavery, and that influenced the whole world to do the same, even though there still is some slavery. And then, the civil rights movement with the great and late Dr. King, and then, other things we've done in the last 20 years to improve, just like the roadways, we're always improving our civil rights and things like that. And women, same way. Women have been, brought up like that. And actually, women make more money than men, but you won't hear that on the news.
Oh, don't even bring that up. Oh, don't even bring that up.
Here comes the feminist movement, but God bless you guys. But my whole point of saying that is, my boss here, he is black. He has worked his way up just like a white man would, just like a Mexican guy would, just like, some Asian people I work with would. And they don't talk about their selves being suppressed because they don't let the media do that to them. They just work their ass off, and that's why they're, successful. That's it, man. Be a good person, work hard. That's what America's all about.
Yeah. I think
Judge
at the end of the
people
day,
by the
that's
content of their character, not by the color of their skin.
yes. It doesn't matter if you grew up dirt poor or you grew up rich. Now, if you did grow up rich, you might have some more opportunities, but that doesn't mean anything. It means your parents provided you.
You're probably going to end up being worse. Actually, think about it. Like,
you could.
Kids, man,
they end up they work at their dad's business or but as long as you really in America, if you just want to get by, you don't have to even work that hard.
You don't even have to work. You should have said that. You make $50K a year.
Make $50K a year with unemployment right now. But like in a regular time, like if you work, a moderately regular job, though, with insurance, you can get by with little work. It's very easy. And I guess there'd be people say it's not easy, but I mean, I don't really know why you couldn't get a job at a factory making $30,000 a year, $35,000, $40,000. You and your wife work 8 hours a day, have the weekends off, have your insurance paid. That's everywhere. I mean, there's a lot of places like that.
Oh, yeah, paid vacation.
Paid vacation, and are you going to have the brand newest vehicle? Are you going to have the best vacations every year? No. But
here's the thing: once people who conquer what you're saying, which is small, they see they can do that, and then they say, "Oh, I can move up. I can be a manager," and then they conquer that, and then they're like, "Well, maybe I can just start my own, landscaping company." They do that, so it's like kind of a chain reaction, domino effect.
Yeah, and then when someone comes in and says, "Hey, man, you make all this money. Why don't we tax this extra money you make because you're so rich and pay for health insurance for the people that didn't just go work a regular 8 to 5 job like you and we'll supplement their income because they work part-time." How about that? And then that's when people get mad. It's like, I worked for this money. Like, I'm not rich. There's like the kid in high school that had the big nice truck or the brand new Mustang, and you say, well, his daddy bought that for him. That carries over.
His daddy's paying on it.
Yeah, that turns into it carries over into adulthood, and adults literally there'll be 40-year-old people that'll see another 40-year-old and think that they didn't earn the money that they have for their big nice house, and they kind of think being well off or rich is a luck of the draw a lot of the time, and really it's hard work. It's people that work and get up every morning and go to work.
It's very rare that it's the luck of the draw. I mean, if you got a trust fund,
sometimes
or something like that.
Yeah,
but most of the time these people they're workaholics. Really.
Yeah. I mean, even
every millionaire I know is.
Have you ever heard the term the 1% that everybody throws around? tax the 1%, all this extra money, um, 50% tax on the 1%. Do you know how much 1% is in Mississippi? If you earn a year.
Population?
No, like
Oh.
the one it's the top richest 1%. What you have to make to be considered the 1%?
Oh, okay, let me guess. 170 million?
$250,000 a year.
Okay, so that's the top one.
Top 1%.
That's
So
the entryway.
So if you make over $250,000 a year, in Mississippi you are considered the 1%. So when people start saying, "Hey, do you think we should tax the 1%, 50%?" People are like, "Yeah, they don't need all that money. They're storing all the money." That's who they're taxing.
Yeah,
That's who's getting
and
taxed.
then you cut that in half. They're making $100,000 a year.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Right?
it's like
if they do 50% tax.
it's graduated based on like as your money goes up, but they're still like you're getting essentially punished. And here's what you got to think of: a lot of people go and make that amount of money because they went to school, they have student loans they got to pay, they have a bigger house, a bigger car, and then they got to pay extra money. It's not like when you make $200,000 a year, you're just swimming in extra money because you can afford a nicer place and a nicer car and some nicer things, but you're not just like balling in money. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think it's
No, you're 100%.
That's what I was getting at. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with you, man. And it's like it's not really fair to punish those people. And a family member of mine, it has that situation right now where he's living in a state where they're taxing him like 45% or 40%, and it's like where's the incentive to work that hard? He could have done half the projects he did, and still be making the same amount of money.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what. Well,
so it's like the more you work, the more you're punished.
Yeah, and it's to me like I think, and people always argue there's some caveat, I don't know what it is, but like a flat tax. If I make $1 million a year, then whatever I buy, I get taxed 25% on that instead of. So people who make less money.
I'm all about flat tax.
Yeah, people who make less money
10%.
buy less stuff, spend less on their house, spend less on their cars, spend less on this, so they spend less taxes. But somebody that makes $1 million a year and buys a boat pays more taxes because they bought a boat. So you pay a certain amount on whatever you buy. Does that make sense? So you buy a Gucci shirt,
totally, yeah,
you pay more taxes.
They're throwing in like a ton of tax money into the pot, basically, and then they're also getting taxed.
Yes. Yes.
So it's like a double whammy.
And then check this out.
It hits you in the face and then in your back.
So people in Mississippi that made over $200,000 didn't get those stimulus checks. So they might have been out of work. And there's room to argue that somebody that works at Dollar General part-time and lost their job can go get another job somewhere. Somebody that was making good money and had already, committed but had to close because of the virus and lost their job, now they have bigger bills. And they don't get any of that money because they're considered the super rich when they make over $200,000 a year. So now they can't pay their house.
This is a good point that you brought up.
Yeah, so now
haven't really thought about.
Now they got more bills to pay, and nobody's even helping them. They're just like, "Oh, you make $200,000 a year." It's like, yeah, but my house note is $1,500 or $1,700, and my car note's $500 because I was earning that.
You've been making that and not paying any bills. It's like, oh, you have billions of dollars piled up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
buddy.
you could make $200,000 and rent a $600 apartment if you want to. But what's the point in making $200,000? You've been paying all those taxes.
Even to go with that, I mean, I totally get what you're saying. Even if they are good at saving, which a lot of wealthy people are, and a lot of wealthy people are not.
Yeah.
If they are good at saving, how long can that last? How long can they use their savings to sustain without help or screw help, man? We can help ourselves. We can all work hard to make our money. We don't need government.
Yeah.
So Dude, I'm so against this lockdown. It gets me so heated. I got a question for you though.
Okay.
You just had a daughter. You just had a daughter.
Son.
Okay. Son. I apologize. So what? A year old now?
Yeah. Well, like a year and a half.
Okay, cool. So you're not crossing the bridge I'm crossing. I was going to ask you something, but it's basically about the school systems. So my daughter's school, we just got a letter basically asking for a vote on how we want to go back to school, and it said traditional, and they had two other options. One was like part-time, and one was hybrid. And none of the options had, like, the one that was called traditional was they had to wear a mask, they could not congregate before school, they could not congregate in the lunchroom, they had to sanitize their hands and wear a mask to class, they had to alternate, the way they switch classes, and that just doesn't sound traditional to me. So I just wanted to bring that up because that's something I don't think people are talking about, and it concerns me dearly because my daughter is going into the first grade. And so it's like, I don't want my daughter to be indoctrinated into this fear mongering.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people are going to be like, this is a loony dad, no vaxxer dad, probably. But
no,
I just want I want my daughter to be able to have the childhood, and she's fourth generation at this elementary school. I want her to have the same experience as I did, and look back and say, I loved my experiences at this elementary school, not be taught that it's normal to sit in a cubicle. Dude, this is something I haven't heard anybody say anything about locally.
I haven't heard it either.
Nothing, and I'm like,
well, I've heard.
I'm like getting in with the school board, and I guess becoming probably the town loony at the same time. But the way I see it is somebody's got to stand up for these kids. And although most people would say, "Why did you care about my kid?" I do, but here's the other thing that I think about. I got friends that I went to that school with, and now their kids are in that school. And so it's such a bigger thing. And it's like these kids can't stand up and say, well, we're not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
It's where do you draw the line? I'm trying to figure out where I draw the line because I was like, okay, if they want to sanitize their hands between classes, I'm cool with that. But trying to make my kid wear a mask all day, we got issues now. And then trying to get my kid to sit in a cubicle, I mean, it's just it's a hard thing to wrap my brain around, and I haven't heard any other person breathe a thought about it.
I've seen like people talk about it, but I haven't like looked at it. I didn't know it was like all that. Yeah. I know like people in passing have said, "Oh, they're gonna have to wear masks at school." To be honest with you, when it comes to the mask, I'm gonna let my opinion be based on what happens with the virus in the next month. If nothing happens in a month, I mean,
that's
if people
fair.
get
give it the summer, sure.
Because I mean, we've had the 4 months and we're on lockdown. It didn't do nothing. It didn't really spread. I mean, it literally just stopped spreading. Like nobody really got it. We opened up and now people are getting it. We're going to see.
How many people? I mean, don't you think there was a lot of people that just didn't wear the mask, too?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did.
I didn't wear a mask one time. One time, didn't wear it.
Well,
I'm alive.
We did like. People weren't going out to eat, weren't going to movie theaters. We did lessen, we were, we were doing something about it. Now we're not. Now, like, everything's open. I mean, I don't know what they're talking about. Everything's open right now. You can go to bars, you can do whatever. In the next month, we'll see. If people start getting it and people start like dying and hospitals start filling up, then I'll say yes. I think probably the kids should either go to school online or they should wear masks. If there's people filling up the hospitals dying, if children are dying, like a good amount, even if it's not a lot, but if it's a good amount, like what if 1% of that class die from it? If that happens, then I think there needs to be precautions. But if it's just like the flu, then let's let it pass, is what I would say.
Yeah, 100%. And what's funny is kids are the least susceptible to it. But going past that, human instincts are pretty damn good. I really do believe that. I think our instincts are really good, and that's why we're having conversations. If this was a real deal thing, we wouldn't even be debating it.
Yeah.
It comes down to human instincts. Our instincts will tell us, oh, this shit's for real. I'm homeschooling. Easy decision. You won't even be having a conversation about it, but we're still having a conversation about it because of the deception, because of what I think is a grand medical experiment. And I don't know if you know this, but these big Democratic I'm just going to say these big dictator type people in these bigger cities, they decided to put, I don't know if you heard about this, but they killed 80,000 elderly people on purpose, basically. They pushed COVID patients into nursing homes when there were hospitals that were empty that they could have gone to. They said, no, send them to the nursing home. And then the people in the nursing home started dying from COVID, and they were getting $30,000 a head for everybody who died.
Yeah,
I
heard about that.
Yeah. I mean, dude, that's so mainstream news. It's not even like that's so blatantly evil. I can't even wrap my head around it.
When it first started, this wasn't on the news, and I found this out through people that were in the industry. They were telling them if someone came in with COVID, don't tell anybody because we don't want to be known like our hospital has COVID. Before it, like they were locking down and stuff when it was just first starting to, there's one case in Forest County. They were like,
yeah, I remember that day.
Yeah, they were like, don't tell anybody that we have it. We had somebody in the building. Now it's like.
Well, also, it's never going to go away, bro. I mean, if we could do that, wouldn't we have shut down, let's just say randomly, hey, we're going to shut down in 2014 for the month of January because we just want to get rid of the flu. We think that'd be a good thing to get rid of. It's not possible. You need to spread it. You need to build antibodies for it. You got to do that. I mean, that's why I think, yes, the cases are going up, but the virus is slowly getting weaker, and that's why you're seeing the deaths go down, and you don't see nothing mainstream saying nothing about the deaths.
That is a very curious statement because I have seen all of these ads, and they're trying to get you to click on that fucking video is what they're doing, or that little Facebook post. It's like,
and it's always like Florida reopens beaches, has a record day. It's like Project Mockingbird.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying record day. Record cases. Like, record cases, my butt, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, sure, but not record deaths. Deaths are slowly going down.
It's that's something that I haven't. I just assumed that. I was like, oh, here it comes. It's coming back after we open. But now that you say that, it doesn't say anything about people dying. It just says people getting it.
No.
And a lot of people.
And actually, I saw. Yeah, you can pull up the CDC's website and just pull it up. Like, it's not, you ain't got to go to Infowars.com. You can go to CDC's website and just look at the deaths. The deaths are slowly decreasing. But whatever, man, I don't know. We're living in Looney Town, and I'm just trying to survive and raise my children. That's basically it for me.
I think it'll pass either way. If it's bad, we'll all get it, and there'll be a big emergency, or either nothing will happen, and we'll get it, and we'll all just be like the flu. But either way, I think it'll pass. Unless, I mean, it is curious. It's an election year, and the impeachment didn't work. I'm not saying that's what they're doing.
How convenient.
It is convenient.
How convenient.
Every few months, there's some big reason why Trump is dropping the ball.
Oh, yeah, coronavirus is his fault, too. He invented it in the basement of the White House, is what I heard.
Yeah. Well, it is. It is a pretty crazy world, but I think we'll get through it eventually.
Well, going back to what you were about to say, I know what you was about to say. It's an election year, and therefore, what is going to be the final hoorah of these?
I know. I don't want to say.
Deep state globalists. If you want to get political Democrats,
the elites, the elite globalists,
spiritual Satanists. If you want to get sexual pedophiles, I mean, you can call them whatever you want. But what is the final Hail Mary? And screw Donald Trump. Can the American people jump up and intercept that Hail Mary and say, no, you're not getting in the end zone on this. We're stopping you right here in your tracks because I'm personally fed up with it. I look, when I go to places and they ask me, they say, oh, sorry, you got to wear a mask to come in here. I just say, okay, I'm not wearing a mask. I would love to spend my money here. I would love to come in and give you a lot of money. Or, if the meal's going to be $45, I'm like, I'm about to spend $45 to eat here. I'm not going to wear a mask. And if they turn me away, that's their right.
Yeah.
But I drew the line, man, I think about 2 months ago. I just had to stop supporting it and stuff. And in local businesses, it's really hard. It's really hard because those are the people I want to succeed.
Yeah.
And they're being told that
They have
it's
to.
the law that they cannot open. And when it's not the law, here's the thing. They worked for us, and we forgot about that.
We certainly did, didn't
them.
we? Yeah.
We forgot that they worked for us, and they are not the king of the country. You know what the king of the country is? The Constitution of the United States and the Bill of Rights. That is the king, and they swore an oath to the king.
Yeah.
And they're breaking the oath over and over and over, and it's so crazy because we live in a lawless society because there's so many people that should be prosecuted for getting on national TV and saying, we will take you to jail if you open your business, if you go see your relatives, if you get a haircut, because this is the law. And we just said it into a microphone. Therefore, it is the law. And it's just bizarre to me, man. And I was on board with that from the get-go. I was like, ho. I don't care if it's a deadly virus. You can't take people's rights.
Yeah.
You just can't. And then I was like 4 weeks, and I was like, oh, this ain't a deadly virus. So you definitely can't take people's rights. And they're constantly chipping away at your rights.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I felt the same way about seatbelts, but not this intense.
Oh.
I was just like,
you know what?
I want to die in my car.
Check this out. So I had the same thing about seatbelts. I was huge into it, and I was like, there was no fucking reason.
I'm not huge, but
to me, it was kind of like, who the hell are you to tell me what I do in my car, and how are you going to make me pay you money for something in my car that doesn't affect anybody except for myself, right? That was my theory behind it. And then I was talking to my brother one day, and he's like, and I always thought it was like, oh, it's the insurance companies doing that, so you're less likely to get injured, so they have to pay you money, thing. And then my brother was like, he came out and he said, he didn't came out. We were talking about it, and he goes, that is because if you were to slam on brakes while driving, the seatbelt holds you in place, so you're least likely to go over the front of the wheel, so you can keep your car in control easier if you hit the brakes. And I was like, well, that's a good reason then. So if you're driving and someone stops in front of you, hit the brakes, instead of you slamming through the window, you stay in place where you can still drive the car.
Yeah, I guess that's an okay argument. I'll let you have that one. I'm not going to comment.
It's a reason.
Like I said, I wasn't a big deal. I buckled up anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm not really worried about it because I don't want to die.
I kind of think I'm in the middle of the whole closing businesses down. I think that it comes down to, if you didn't make people close, and you got to think, it comes down to how serious we think the virus is, or thought it was, or how deadly we thought it was. And to me, from what everybody was getting was, this thing makes you cough up red foam and you die. Your grandparents die. People with weak immune systems die. Even if you don't die, you get sick for 2 weeks, and it's super contagious.
And everybody else dies.
Yeah, and there's no vaccines. So if they said, all right, I hope all of y'all stay home, nobody would do it. So I think there had to have been some sort of intervention. And if it would have been, and I know 14
days, I was totally on board.
Yeah, and that's what I think. I think they had to limit, haircut people, which sucks. It really does suck. It also sucks for musicians and bar owners and restaurants. It really does suck, and that's where they should have been giving the stimulus money to, instead of to everybody. Give it to the people that had to close their businesses, like were forced to close their businesses. Help out with that. Like, you know what? We're going to make sure you get through this, but we need you guys to shut down for 6 weeks, and here's some money. Apply for this money, not a loan. Here's some money. I guess we'd have to pay for that. I don't know. If it was as bad, it probably should have been voted on. I guess comes back to that. But something had to have been done.
For sure.
Right, I guess.
Well, listen,
I don't know.
I'll stand by my statement. The 14 days, when they came out and said, we're going to quarantine for 2 weeks, we need to flatten the curve. Like I said, hey, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm willing to try it. I think most businesses could survive 14 days. And if that helps us get rid of this, or at least slow the curve or whatever they wanted, That's cool. I can do that. And I did. And then I even went extra 2 weeks for him.
Hmm.
I even gave him a little more benefit of the doubt. But I think it all comes down to, at what point do we draw the line? What if in 10 years we're still under this, and maybe that's too extreme. Maybe like 3 years. And it's not a super deadly virus. Like, I know probably when you're going to draw the line, because talking to you, I get your personality, I get the vibe. You're probably not going to go more than a year or two.
I'm not going to
I
go.
couldn't even make it 3 months. 3 months, and I was irate.
Look, if
this is propaganda.
If once this thing, because I feel like it was about to hit, and then it never hit because everybody locked down. And I was like, well, that's good, because one of the first things I heard when it was first being debated if we should lock down, they said, if you lock down, it's going to look as though you did it for nothing. Like nothing happened. Like that's what it's going to look like. It's going to look like it was a waste of time. That's what it looked like. I was like, nobody's getting sick. And I was like, well, that's because we locked down and we stopped, going out as much and all that stuff, social distancing. And then we stopped doing it, and they go, if people start dying, and it's not like, literally this is what it's going to take. Hospitals filling up, people I know getting it and almost dying or dying.
Which they faked the hospitals for the longest time.
Yeah.
They faked that. They set up tents out there, and
they were like,
never showed up.
Yeah, like that boat they put outside of New York that never had a single person on it.
Which there's a whole nother QAnon rabbit hole where they said that was to save all the sex trafficking children. Which, hey, if that happened, bless you, bless the Marines for doing that.
That's good. That's a good thing. But if that starts happening, then I'll have my opinion on that way. But if in 2 months after we've reopened, if it's just like, oh, I know him, he got it, he got sick, he's better now, or, there was this one person I knew that got it really bad, but, 90% of the people are just, mild, then I'll be on the side of, all right, let's just let it pass.
It's funny, what I'm hearing is you're saying, I'm relying on my instincts, which are good. Your instincts are good, that's why everybody's having conversations, because our instincts are kicking in and we're going, hold on a second, this is not a big deal. Why are we just running our economy?
Well, I'm gonna wait.
So I think relying on your human instincts is a good thing.
Well, I guess I take it back. What we really need to do is just wait for CNN to tell us what it is.
Okay. Everyone on the News Network, please come on to the Siren Podcast. I would love to hear when I can, live my life again. But
yeah, let them tell us.
It's been cool, man. Here's the silver lining, right? There's some silver lining, and I think we probably need to touch on it, before we go. But silver lining to me are two things. Number one, these conversations, or three. So number one, these conversations are being brewed up, and it's bringing up all kind of other stuff. Look, it's bringing up 9/11 between us. We're having more conversations.
Yeah.
Number two is going to be that people's true colors are coming out. You're getting to see even from celebrities down to local. Who's bought into what, who's standing up for what, who's having conversation, who's killing conversation. So at least there's some you're putting on some kind of lenses to be able to see what, you're getting to see some more stuff. And then number three for me is I actually have gotten closer to my kids and my family, and just, it's bringing me back to zoom out and really ask, what is this all about? I can get caught up in PPK. I can get caught up in 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
It's all interesting and fun to go down and concerning, but it's making me really the opposite, zoom out and say, what is this really about, and what does my life mean now that I have family, children especially. And so my whole thing with my religion is, I just want to make sure my kids have eternal life. I can boil it down to that. I like to do things. I like to play music. I like to do all these other things.
Mm-hmm.
But I've gotten to a place where it's I want to make sure my kids have a good life while they're here, and then I want them to have the chance to have eternal life. So, I think kids are such a blessing in that way, because it changes your whole persona. It changes your whole the way you operate and think,
mm-hmm.
and because you got so much more riding on it.
Yes.
Notice these Antifa and these protesters. They don't really seem to have like much responsibility or many people to feed. They're feeding themselves. So if they get a little scrap here and there, it's fine. But people who actually have people to feed and people they care about and people who they care about when they grow up, if they have a successful life on this earth, they seem to be the rational ones who want to talk about things and want to converse and find solutions. It's just interesting to me, and kids are a blessing, bro. You gotta have two more kids. Three's the magic number, bro.
I'm gonna have the one.
You gotta, well, here's the thing. It's so beautiful watching them play together. They gotta have a little buddy.
Is it?
It's fun, dude. You'll like it. Just two.
We're just gonna do the one.
That's what everybody says, by the way. But that's cool.
Well, so, I mean, that's what I hear. I hear everybody says that. In 2 years...
Hey, if you have one, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, in 2 years, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Sure.
I could have 5.
We gotta see what this Corona thing is.
I could have 5 by then.
Hey, there you go. Cool.
Well, I guess, I mean, we've been talking for 2 hours. We didn't really go through this, but I think the conversation was just as good as it could have been.
I think we did go into it, though.
Yeah.
In a way, it's all connected.
It's all the same. I'm not going to put it on my page, but it's out there if y'all want to look at this thing. So yeah.
What was it called again?
It's just called, I don't know. It was just a post. That's all a few people post. Still a conspiracy.
Yeah. So they can look into all those individual things we were talking about, and that's what it's all about. It's like having a conversation to steer you in a direction to make your own, decisions on what you think's going on and how you think everything should go out in the future.
Yeah.
It's crazy, bro. Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland, things going backwards. Led Zeppelin CDs on repeat, backwards.
Dang, bro, that's all I'm listening to in this hotel room.
Oh, so you're not in Mississippi. You're out in...
No, I mean, I'm out working. I'm leading a photography and videography crew, doing some projects for the military, but that's about all I'm going to say about it. But it's really fun, man. I've had a great time. I'm here for 60 days. So it's like a pretty long stint.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good, man. I get to work with just like some of the best people. And you know what's crazy is, and I'm going to let you go after this. It's so late. But what's crazy is, I grew up with this thought that, military people were bad. Not bad, but there was a certain stigma towards military people because of the military-industrial complex that we all know about, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, the men and women that are out here doing their thing, they're freaking hard-working, good, great, polite, awesome Americans. 99.9999%.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have such more deep respect for our military, and I think that veterans don't get enough representation. I don't think the military gets enough representation. And it's just, I don't know. I feel great doing what I'm doing. So,
yeah, they're just regular people.
Over here.
Regular people. That...
And they're not making those big decisions that we were talking about. So, anyway, thank you, everybody who's in the military or has served. Appreciate your service.
Cool, awesome, yeah. Big ups for the military. Well,
big ups.
Big ups. I'll let you go. Get back to what you're doing. I'm gonna try to get some sleep before I got to get back up here in the morning. But it was great talking to you, man.
It was absolutely same here, brother.
So if you ever want to come back on, you're always welcome to come on. Just hit me up. Let me know about some of your projects coming up. I think you know what I'm talking about, if that's still happening. So.
Sure. Yeah, it's supposed to be, so I'll keep you informed on that.
Yeah, let me know.
But yeah, and anybody watching, I'm a musician, I'm a cinematographer, photographer. But what we've been talking about today is like this really small platform I created for myself. It's the Hated Patriot, and you can find it on Gab and Facebook. And basically, all I wanted to do was separate it from my personal account, kind of, and my personal identity on the internet. Even though I'm not ashamed of it, I'm going to post this. So that's all that is about. And if you want to just see and hear more conversations, hopefully we'll be posting stuff there and maybe coming back on here for that related topic. So
awesome. Yeah,
appreciate you, bro. You're awesome.
No, you are. Thank you. I've completely forgot to mention the Hated Patriot. Forgive me on that.
No, I just didn't want people to be like, I thought he was a musician. I thought he did this. It's like, yeah, but I also just, like to have conversations. So that's that outlet,
All right, yeah. Check out the Hated Patriot, Facebook and Gab and all that good stuff, guys. But I'll let you go, man. Enjoy yourself. Thanks for coming on. Good talking to you.
Dude, love you. Awesome shirt, and catch you later.
All right, man. See ya. Hey, guys. Thanks for sticking around through that one. Now, no matter what your opinion is on things, I hope that you really take things, in a good way. Be open-minded. If you don't agree with something, that's fine. I don't agree with everybody. So, make sure and, you're kind to one another, understand one another. And if you have different opinions, that's okay. So, thanks for watching the show. Make sure and check out some of my other shows. You can find me on Facebook, if that's where you're at right now. Facebook, also on YouTube. And you can catch all of my podcast in audio form, like a standard podcast, on all of the major streaming platforms. So make sure and go over there and do that. Also on my YouTube, I do other things as well besides the podcast. So I have gear reviews and guitar demos and all kinds of music shit. It's pretty cool. Go over there and check that out. I've also got some t-shirts coming out. So if you want to buy a t-shirt, it's got my logo on it, the AA for AAmbulance Studios. Let me know, and I'll get you hooked up with one. Also, I might be making one that says the Siren Podcast. So be cool as shit if y'all bought one. So that's about it. Thanks for sticking around, and I will see you guys next time.